Chapter 1810, The Advanced Elite Gathering, 3. Other than that, the magical beasts will also be participating in the elite competition. They will also choose a new king for the magical beasts. However, for many years, the kings of the magical beasts have always been occupied by the dragon race, phoenix race, white tiger race and Chilan race. I reckon that there will not be any changes this year. After all, the strength of these 4 great magical beast kings among the magical beasts is unquestionable. The second elder continued. Oh. Did you just say that the elite gathering was brought forward? Leng Ruoxue asked out of curiosity. Yes. Normally, the actual date of the elite gathering should be 10 years later. However, the Master God has moved the elite gathering to 3 months later. In other words, we still have 3 months to prepare. By then, we will have to send people to the imperial city. The second elder asked. Little girl, the imperial city is the main city where the divine master lived. The imperial city was named after the first divine master of the divine realm. Uncle Long suddenly interjected. An unknown glint flashed across his dark eyes as he looked at Leng Ruoxue with a meaningful gaze. The first divine master. Leng Ruoxue was a little surprised. Reverent God-level beings were eternal, but why did it sound like there was more than one divine master? In my heart, Master, you will forever be the divine master, and no one can replace him. Uncle Long said sadly, his eyes glistening with tears. Little girl, the current divine master of the divine world is Lord Yes' younger sister. It's said that after Lord Yu handed the divine world over to Lord Wu Cheng, he left the divine world and his whereabouts are unknown. As for where Lord Yu went, no one knows. The master of the Ning family added after coming back to his senses. Why did that Master Yu disappear as well? Leng Ruoxue was speechless. He said he went to travel, but how can we know the truth? The master of the Ning family said helplessly. Speaking of which, he was still grateful for Master Yes' help, but unfortunately, before he could repay the favor, Master Yu had disappeared. Godfather's words made Leng Ruoxue suspicious. From Godfather's words, could it be that he suspected that something had happened to the Lord Yu? However, looking at Godfather and Uncle Long's expressions, they seemed to admire that Master Yu a lot. Therefore, she couldn't ask the suspicion in her heart. Godfather, will the Ning family send people to participate in the elite competition? Leng Ruoxue felt that the atmosphere was a little sad, so she changed the topic. Of course we have to participate. Otherwise, the Ning family's position as one of the 8 great divine regions won't be able to be maintained. The second elder rushed to say. The elite competition was of utmost importance to every clan and magical beast. After all, this was related to the status of the various great clans and magical beasts in the divine realm. Thus, all the great clans and magical beasts would definitely do their best. Looking at Leng Ruoxue's confused expression, second elder explained once more, didn't I say before that the 8 families in the 8 great divine domains were determined during the elite's meeting? If we don't participate in the elite competition that happens once every 10,000 years, it means that our Ning family has given up our position as one of the 8 great divine domains. Thus, not only must we participate in this elite competition, we must also obtain the first place. This is also a great opportunity to prove the strength of our Ning family, so we can't miss it. Second elder, haven't you heard of the saying, the gun hits the bird that takes the lead? The Ning family's limelight is too great, and it will make people jealous. So I think that it's okay to participate in this elite gathering, but it doesn't necessarily have to be first, right? Wouldn't it be fine as long as they could maintain their position as one of the 8 great divine regions? As for the first place, let whoever wants to fight for it go. It's better for the Ning family to keep a low profile. Leng Ruoxue suggested. How can we do that? If we can't win first place in the elite competition, the Yao family will definitely ride over our heads. The second elder said disapprovingly. I told you to hide your strength, not to let you be bullied. If the Yao family really dares to show off in front of the Ning family, you can just ruthlessly teach them a lesson, and what I mean is that I want you to be the uncrowned king. In this way, even if the Yao family wins first place, they won't live up to their name, and the public won't agree with them. At that time, that old man from the Yao family will definitely be depressed to death. Leng Ruoxua laughed evilly. Girl, the Yao old man is famous for taking revenge for every flaw, and he's even more of a villain. If our Ning family gives up this first place, I'm afraid that after old man Yao realizes this, he'll find endless trouble with us. After hearing Leng Ruoxua's words, Master Ning said worriedly. Although he felt that Shui Er's words were quite reasonable, and the Ning family had been number one for too long, the pressure on the family members was great. However, if they gave the position of the top of the 8 great divine regions to the Yao family, he was afraid that the family members would be pestered by the Yao family. That would be troublesome. Godfather, if you continue to be the leader of the 8 great divine domains, won't the Yao family find trouble with you? Leng Ruoxua asked with a smile. All right. I'll listen to you. Leng Ruoxua's words made Master Ning smile. He was really old, and he still couldn't see through a little girl's thoughts. The Yao family had been jealous of the Ning family's status for a long time. For so many years, although the two families had occasionally cooperated, most of them were hostile. In that case, why should he care about this trouble? Master, the second elder was stunned by his patriarch's decision. He didn't know what to say. The master was too obedient to the little girl. Although he was a little afraid of the girl, this was a big matter for the entire Ning family. How could the master be so childish? He felt a little indignant, but even more so, he was jealous. Second elder, it's a time of trouble. We have to keep a low profile. We can't reveal our strength easily, or we'll be in even more trouble. Looking at second elder's expression, Leng Ruoxua knew that he did not want the Ning family to hide their strength and act in a low-profile manner. However, this was the only way to confuse the enemy, so she had no choice but to use this plan. Shui is right, second brother. You have to learn more from that little girl Shui. Keeping a low profile and pretending to be a pig to eat the tiger is the right way to go. The master of the Ning family said happily. She called him second again. The second elder wanted to cry but had no tears. Wasn't playing the pig to eat the tiger what that girl was best at? Now, he had dragged the Ning family into the water, all right. He would have a taste of playing the pig to eat the tiger. After all, he had never done such a black-bellied thing. Now that he thought about it, compared to that girl, he was really too naive. After persuading the second elder, Master Ning ordered the second elder to pass on his intentions and to appease the dissatisfied elders in the clan. Moreover, he had to put in more effort in choosing the members to participate in the elite meeting. He had to preserve his strength, but he could not show weakness. Master Ning's request made the second elder's hair turn white. There was no age limit in the elite competition, and there were 5 groups in terms of cultivation base. Those below Reverend God level had to compete, and each family could send 5 representatives from each group. There was a new requirement this year, which was that the team must be led by the family head. As for the Ning family's selection of participants, they used the method of self-registration and unified selection. When the final list of participants came out, the Ning family was a little dumbfounded. Chapter 1811, The Advanced Elite Gathering. 4. Looking at the announced list of participants in the elite gathering, the Ning family couldn't help but discuss. Why is the name list like this? The young master didn't get selected. Yup. The young master is our Ning family's most dazzling genius, how can he not go? Damn, there's actually this idiot, handsome Ning. How did he choose this person? It's so unfair. It's the second elder who chose the candidates. Let's go and ask him. Someone took the lead and said. As soon as he said this, the suspicious and dissatisfied Ning family members all spontaneously went to find the second elder to ask for the reason. The second elder, who had long been prepared, directly said to the Ning family members who had come to question him, "This is the patriarch's will. If you have any dissatisfaction, go ask the patriarch." When everyone heard that, they immediately ceased all activities. Ask the master. How could they have the guts to do that? He dared to ask the second elder because the Ning family had a rule that if a clansman had questions, they could directly ask the person involved. The reason why the Ning family had set this rule was that they were afraid that people would make wild guesses and cause the clansmen to be uneasy. Now that the second elder had clearly told them that this was the master's intention, they naturally had nothing to say. There was less than a month left until the elite competition. During this time, Fengde and the others had also finished their closed-door cultivation and all became God-tier masters. After hearing about the elite competition, they were all eager to try. At Leng Ruoxu's residence. "Miss, can we participate in the elite competition?" Fengde couldn't help but ask, his eyes sparkling with anticipation. "You guys want to participate too?" Leng Ruoxue was a little surprised. She didn't know when they would come out of seclusion, so she didn't ask her godfather about it. Furthermore, she didn't expect Fengde and the others to be interested in the elite gathering. "Yes, we just want to see the difference in strength between us and the other god-tier masters." Fengde was very honest. But, the elite competition only allows 5 people to participate in each group. It's impossible for all of you to have the chance to participate. Leng Ruoxue was in a difficult position. Her subordinates were all warlike, and choosing the right people was a huge problem. "It doesn't matter. 5 of us will be enough to see the difference between us and the people of the divine realm," Fengde said with a proud smile. "In fact, you can also go and compete with the Ning family," Leng Ruoxue reminded. "Hee. Of course, we won't let the Ning family go, but we also want to have a good fight with the other families. More importantly, I heard that we can use all means at the elite competition, so we can also fight without restraint. Moreover, the opponent's family can't hold us responsible if we hit them hard," Fengde said with a smirk. This was what made him the most satisfied. That was a real battle. "Ah. Since you guys want to participate, I'll go ask Godfather how to sign up." After hearing Fengde's words, Leng Ruoxue wiped the cold sweat off her forehead. She could tell that Fengde and the rest wanted to participate in the elite gathering because they wanted to use all means possible. They seemed to be getting more and more violent. Yes. Fengde and the rest nodded their heads and watched Leng Ruoxue's back view. However, when Leng Ruoxue told her godfather about Fengde and the rest's plan, her godfather told her regretfully that Fengde and the rest would not be able to participate in the elite gathering. Why? Leng Ruoxue was confused. "Sure, this elite competition is based on family clans. Therefore, everyone who wants to participate must have a family clan, no matter big or small," the master of the Ning family explained. At first, he had wanted Leng Ruoxue to represent the Ning family in the competition, but he was afraid that Leng Ruoxue would be in danger. Therefore, after thinking for a long time, he felt that it was safest to bring Leng Ruoxue with him where he could see her. Thus, he changed his mind and did not mention the competition to her. However, now that Shuer had taken the initiative to bring it up, he had no choice but to reconsider. "Shuer, if Fengde and the others want to participate, then let them represent the Ning family. I'll give them the spots in the God-tier division." After thinking for a while, Master Ning said, "Godfather. How could that be? The Ning family's participants have all been selected. If Fengde were to replace them, I'm afraid the Ning family's opinions of me will be even greater." Leng Ruoxue rejected. Due to her relationship with her godfather, those in the Ning family who had a problem with her did not dare to voice their anger. Hence, she was even more aware that she could not cause trouble for her godfather. Why not? I'm the head of the Ning family, if I say it's fine, then it's fine. I'll see who dares to have an opinion," the master of the Ning family said domineeringly. "Godfather, if you really want to do this, then I'll take back what I said before. We won't be participating in the elite gathering," Leng Ruoxue said angrily, her beautiful eyes glistening with tears. Master Ning immediately surrendered. "All right. It's fine if I don't let Fengde and the others replace their spots, right? However, Fengde and the others won't have the chance to participate in the elite gathering this time. The master of the Ning family said with a frown. The elite competition was of utmost importance to every family and every person in the divine realm. Anything could happen in the elite competition. However, whether it was gaining fame and fortune or losing everything, none of them could stop the enthusiasm of the people in the divine realm for the elite competition, because it was indeed a good opportunity to make a name for themselves in one battle. Godfather, didn't you say that the elite gathering is held in units of family? In that case, can't I use the Leng clan's name to participate? Leng Ruoxue asked with a smile. Little girl. It's not that easy. If you can participate in the elite competition under the name of the Leng family, why would I want you to be under the name of the Ning family? The master of the Ning family said, frowning. Chapter 1812, The Land of the Demons, 1. Can't I use the name of the Leng family to attend the elite gathering? Leng Ruoxue asked in surprise. Little girl, any clan that can participate in the elite assembly must have a territory, such as the Craftsman's Guild, Alchemist's Guild, and so on. Although they don't belong to the clan, they all have their own territory. Therefore, these large guilds can also send people to participate in the elite assembly. Not only that, the elite assembly has specially set up a professional competition for them. If you want to participate in the elite assembly in the name of the Leng clan, then the Leng clan must have a piece of territory, even if it's just a small piece, it doesn't matter. However, this territory must be reported to the Divine Master's estate. In addition, territories are also divided into ranks. Having no subordinate city and the size of the subordinate city all determine a family's position in the divine realm. Moreover, you've only been in the divine realm for a short time, and there are wolves in front and tigers behind you. Therefore, I didn't rush you to establish your territory. However, I didn't expect that the grand meeting of the elites would be brought forward. Otherwise, if it were held according to the normal date, you'd also be able to gain a firm foothold in the divine realm by then. AI. What a mistake. I should have prepared a territory for you long ago. After the master of the Ning family finished explaining, he complained to himself. In fact, he had his own selfish reasons for not looking for a territory for Shui in a hurry a few years ago. He had always hoped that Shui could stay in the Ning family's divine realm. This way, he could see her whenever he missed her. However, he knew that this was impossible. This little girl was proud and arrogant. How could she be willing to live under someone else's roof? Even though the Ning family members were restrained by him and did not dare to say anything in front of him, it was not easy to restrain the discussion behind his back. As such, it was only a matter of time before Leng Ruoxue found her own territory. However, he had always held on to the hope that he would be lucky. He felt that every day that could be delayed was a day. On top of that, with the Wen family and the Secret Realms incident, he was even less anxious about his territory. Under such circumstances, he would never allow Leng Ruoxue to leave the Ning family's divine territory and live outside by herself. With him around, the old god of plagues might still be a little afraid, and those men in black would not dare to visit easily. However, once Leng Ruoxue left the Ning family's divine territory, these vicious tigers and wolves would definitely find her first. Who asked Leng Ruoxue to be the weakest among them? If he were to split the Ning family's power into two, it would also be a fatal blow to the Ning family. This would give the enemy a chance to take advantage of them. Therefore, it was best for them to live together now. However, the elite gathering had been brought forward at this time. If Leng Ruoxue and the others wanted to participate, they had two choices. One was to be registered under the Ning family's name, and the other was to have their own territory. This little girl had already refused to be under the Ning family's name, and it wasn't easy to own her own territory. He was also worried. AI. He was really in a dilemma. His brows were almost twisted together. If possible, he really wanted to persuade this little girl to give up on this elite gathering. However, the elite gathering only happened once every 10,000 years. This was also the best opportunity to prove the strength of each family. So how could he say this? Godfather, isn't it just a territory? Just find a piece of land with no owner and you'll do. Leng Ruoxue looked at the regretful Master Ning and consoled him with a faint smile. Silly girl, how can the territory be a joke? You don't know how important the first piece of territory is. It's the foundation for you to establish yourself in the divine world in the future. Furthermore, if you want to expand your territory in the future, you must first expand it around the surrounding area of your territory. Simply put, the first piece of territory will be the center of all your territory in the future. If you want to build a city, that piece of territory will be your main city. Therefore, the people in the divine world are extremely cautious when choosing their family's territory. Therefore, if you want to choose, you must choose a territory that has potential development in the future. Otherwise, it will be very difficult for you to develop in the future. The master of the Ning family said with a frown. Shuai was his most beloved junior, and he could not let this little girl make such a low-level mistake. It would have been fine if there was no one to guide her, but now that he was here, how could he allow Leng Ruoxue to randomly get a territory to deal with it first? However, he knew very well that if he gave a piece of the Ning family's divine territory to this little girl, she would definitely not agree. After all, he had mentioned this idea to Shuai before, but she had rejected it. Now that he thought about it, this girl was really stubborn. But it was also because of this that he loved her even more, wasn't it? Sometimes, Leng Ruoxue, this little girl, really made him both love and hate her. As Master Ning thought about this, he looked at Leng Ruoxue with more and more resentment. As he looked at her, his eyes started to water up, making Leng Ruoxue's heart beat faster. Godfather, you should believe in my ability. Even if the first territory isn't that great, I'm confident I can develop it. Leng Ruoxue lowered her head and said softly, boo-hoo. Godfather is acting pitiful again. I don't dare to look at him in this state. I'm afraid that he'll sign some unfair contract again. These people know that I'm a mess of soft-heartedness towards my own people. Therefore, they often use this method to force me to commit it. Boo-hoo. In the end, I'm the most pitiful person. Little Shuai, can you bear to let your godfather worry about you? My daughter has such great potential, how can she choose a territory like this? The territory is really important. If you don't believe me, you can ask Uncle Long. Master Ning saw that he couldn't convince the stubborn Leng Ruoxue, so he threw the ball to Uncle Long. He kept winking at him, asking him to help persuade this little girl. Seeing this, Uncle Long coughed a few times before he said calmly, little girl. The Ning kid's words do make some sense. The territory does need to be careful, but Uncle Long believes that with your ability, even if you find a piece of barren land, you can still develop the territory. So, Uncle Long supports you to find a piece of land to use first. Well, talk about it when you're strong enough. There's no rush. Uncle Long's words made the master of the Ning family jump up 3 times in anger. He widened his eyes and glared at Uncle Long. You old thing. I asked you to help me persuade Shuai, but you actually stood on her side. Are you trying to anger me to death? The master of the Ning family was angry, and the consequences were serious. Ning family boy, I'm doing this for the girl's good. After all, I'm going to live with her in the future. Would I hurt her? Everyone wanted to choose a good territory, but after so many years of development in the divine realm, where could one find a top-quality no man's land? Or do you want Shuai to fight for a land with an owner? One had to know that that would incur the wrath of the masses. Without absolute strength, one should not even think about it. More importantly, the God Lord's estate will definitely interfere if you snatch someone else's territory for no reason. So, the loss outweighs the gain. Uncle Long said with an indifferent smile. Although it was not a big deal to take someone else's territory in the divinity, there must be a good reason for it. Otherwise, the God Lord's estate would be the first to disagree. This was also the main reason why he agreed with Shuai to randomly choose a territory to use first. As for other things, they should not even think about it before they had absolute strength. Chapter 1813, The Land of the Demons, 2. Actually, the reason why he had enough confidence in Leng Ruoxue was because he understood how amazing her true trump card was. Hence, He believed that no matter where this girl was, her future development would be immeasurable. What he needed to do now was to protect this little seedling with great potential. He couldn't let anyone destroy her before she had even grown up. At the thought of this, Uncle Long's eyes narrowed, and a trace of hostility flashed in the depths of his eyes. No matter who it was, if they wanted to find trouble with Leng Ruoxue, they would have to get past him. Otherwise, they would only be met with death. But, the master of the Ning family opened his mouth and wanted to continue to persuade him. However, after seeing the determined look in Uncle Long and Leng Ruoxue's eyes, he gave up on this idea. AI. Shuai was already stubborn enough, and now that she had Uncle Long's support, his words were naturally ignored. Woo, they actually ganged up to bully her. Master Ning felt so wrong that he even started to sob. The tears in his eyes were still spinning, and Leng Ruoxue's forehead was full of black lines when she saw this. Did Godfather have to be so exaggerated? Those who didn't know would think that she had bullied him. In fact, she just didn't listen to her godfather's advice and just wanted to randomly choose a territory to use first. This wasn't an unforgivable crime, was it? Little girl. If you want to choose a territory, why don't you choose somewhere near the endless sea? It's large enough and there are many uninhabited lands, so it's a good choice to be a territory. Uncle Long glanced at the depressed master of the Ning family and continued to suggest. After he finished speaking, he took out a map and placed it on the table. He pointed it out to Leng Ruoxue. This place, and this place are all uninhabited. It's just a little desolate. If you want to make it your territory, it'll take a lot of work. As soon as Uncle Long finished speaking, the depressed master of the Ning family flew into a rage. You old whale, you actually tried to steal my girl. I was wondering why you would agree to Shuai randomly choosing a territory. So this was what you were planning. Shuai is my goddaughter. No matter how desolate the territory she chooses is, it must be near the Ning family's divine realm. As for the endless sea, don't even think about it. After Master Ning finished shouting, he stared at Leng Ruoxue with a face full of hidden bitterness. His eyes were red as if he was saying, do as you see fit. Then, he pursed his lips arrogantly and pointed at an ownerless land on the map. There's no one here, so it's not a bad choice. How can we do that? That place is so small. Uncle Long objected firmly. Why not? The terrain here is not bad, and the area is enough for little Shuai and the others to live in. It's decided, little Shuai's territory will be here. The master of the Ning family did not even ask for Leng Ruoxue's opinion before he made the final decision. Actually, the main reason was that it was just near the Ning family's divine realm. Since he couldn't convince Shuai, he had to choose a territory close to his precious goddaughter. That way, they could look out for each other, hee. The more he thought about it, the more he felt that his idea was great. Although that place was indeed a little small, it did not matter. After Shuai had settled on that place, he would make the decision to give Shuai the few cities closest to the Ning clan's divine territory. That way, it would not be easy for Leng Ruoxue to reject him. As he thought about it, he could not hide the smile on his face. However, Uncle Long would not let Master Ning have his way. Ning family's boy, don't think that I don't know what you're planning. You chose that place because it's close to your Ning family's divine realm. Uncle Long said with a look of disdain. The area there is small, and there are many people coming and going. It's inconvenient to live there. It was better to be near the endless sea. Not only were there many ownerless lands, but no one would also disturb him. So, he would choose a territory around the endless sea. It's decided then. Uncle Long continued. No. We can only choose this place. The master of the Ning family pointed at the place he had his eyes on and objected. He wasn't afraid of others seeing through his selfishness. So what if he had selfish motives? Did that old whale not have any selfish motives? He was very clear that the old whale had a purpose for letting Shuai choose the endless ocean. It was to let Shuai take care of those sea beasts. Shuar had unlimited potential. I object, this place is better. Uncle Long glared at him and roared. This place is good. This place is good. Shuar, choose this place. Girl, choose this place. Uncle Long and the master of the Ning family had their own opinions. They stared at each other and shouted at each other, both wanting Shuar to choose the place they wanted. Leng Ruoxua looked at the two old men who were fighting for her territory with red faces and red necks. She could not help but feel speechless. When Uncle Long and the master of the Ning family saw that Leng Ruoxua had no reaction, they both grabbed her arms and asked in unison, Shuar, which one do you choose? The expressions on both of their faces were extremely unfriendly, and their eyes were filled with threats. When Leng Ruoxua saw this, cold sweat started to form on her forehead. Ai. She was in a difficult position. No matter if she chose a place that her godfather liked or a place that Uncle Long liked, it was not suitable. Moreover, she would definitely hurt the other person's heart. What should she do? Leng Ruoxua's mind raced as she quickly thought of a solution. Seeing this, Master Ning and Uncle Long didn't disturb her. However, their faces were red with the words "you'd better think it through." This put a lot of pressure on Leng Ruoxua. After a long time. Godfather, Uncle Long, I've decided. I won't choose either of these places, Leng Ruoxua mustered up her courage and said. After she finished speaking, she hid behind the evildoer in fear, seeking protection. However, the master of the Ning family and Uncle Long weren't as angry as they had thought. Instead, they smiled and asked in unison, then which one do you want to choose? As long as Shuar didn't choose a place that the other party was interested in, they wouldn't have any objections. Or do you not want to think about the territory for the time being? The master of the Ning family asked again. If that was the case, it would be the best. Godfather, Uncle Long, I've decided to choose this place. Leng Ruoxua's slender finger pointed at a location on the map. Master Ning and Uncle Long looked in the direction that Leng Ruoxua was pointing at. Instantly, the two of them looked at each other, their expressions conflicted. Why did Shuar choose that place? That wasn't a good place to be. The place Leng Ruoxua had chosen was right in the middle of the place that Master Ning and Uncle Long had chosen. Furthermore, that place was even more remote than the place they had chosen, and it was also very inconvenient to get there. There, they leaned against a bottomless cliff. On the left was a desolate desert, and on the right was a mountain range. After crossing the mountain range was the endless sea. On the front was the only passage to the outside world, which was connected to a forest and extended in all directions. Chapter 1814, The Land of the Demons, 3. Leng Ruoxua also wanted to choose a location for her territory. It was on a mountain that was so high that it reached the clouds. The mountain was lush and green, and all kinds of vegetation grew luxuriantly. However, that place was also famous in the god world for being a dangerous place. More importantly, it was not suitable for living. Otherwise, it would not have been left untouched for so many years. Shuar, you can't go there. After a long while, the master of the Ning family finally spoke. What's wrong? Leng Ruoxua looked at her godfather in confusion. She thought that place was not bad. Surrounded by mountains, there were mountains and rivers. More importantly, it was not too far from the endless sea and the Ning family's divine realm. She felt that it could not be more ideal. Moreover, she had always liked to choose places like the deep mountains and old forests as her territory. After all, the resources in such a place were unimaginable. Little girl, that place is the second most dangerous place in the divine realm. It's called the Land of Demons by the people of the divine realm. It has many mountains and forests, which are its main characteristics. Not only that, but there are also many magical beast clans living there. Those magical beasts have never been friendly to humans. There were once people who wanted to take over that place, but in the end, not only did they fail, but they also suffered heavy losses and were almost completely annihilated. Do you know why? Uncle Long asked with a serious expression. Why? Could it be that the beasts there can't tolerate them? Leng Ruoxue guessed. Yes, that's right. Beasts have always been unfriendly to humans, and they're the local snakes there. Naturally, they won't allow humans to appear in their territory. So, it's unrealistic for you to treat that place as your territory. Uncle Long said worriedly. If Shuai wanted to choose that place as her territory, had rather Leng Ruoxue choose the place that the Ning family's kid had his eyes on. But, isn't that land without an owner? Since there was no owner, wouldn't anyone be able to take it? As long as you have the strength, even those local tyrants can't do anything to you, right? Leng Ruoxue frowned. Shuai. You don't understand the difference in status between humans and magical beasts in the divine realm. Although the divine rules state that all living beings are equal and there is no racial discrimination, if a human wants to occupy a piece of land, as long as it is ownerless, they can file it with the divine lord's estate. In the future, the land will belong to you. However, the magical beasts are different. Unless there is a godly venerable rank magical beast in their own race, they will not live up to their name even if they occupy a piece of land. If we force them to give it up, they'll have to leave their homes. It's under such circumstances that the beast clans around their territories formed an alliance. If a human set his eyes on the territory of a beast clan, then the beasts in the same alliance would treat him as a common enemy and drive him out of their territory. Once the beast clans unite, even human powerhouses can't go against them. As a result, the beast clans' territories are naturally preserved. The main reason why this place is called the Land of Demons is because there are a lot of beasts here, and they are quite united. If humans invade, they will definitely not show mercy, so this is not a suitable place for humans to build their territory. The master of the Ning family explained helplessly. Little girl. The beasts have no choice but to do this. They've been bullied by humans, so they'll never show mercy to humans. Otherwise, they'll be the ones in danger. Uncle Long sighed softly. If it was possible, he really did not want Shuai to go head-to-head with the beasties. After all, he was also one of the beasties. I understand. What if I can subdue them? Leng Ruoxue said with a smile. Ah. Little girl Shuai, the divine realm's beasts are different from the lower realm's beasts. They are not that easy to talk to, and they also hate humans quite a bit. Thus, they rarely acknowledge humans as their masters. The master of the Ning family explained worriedly. In the divine realm, almost all the beasts lived in groups. It was very difficult to make a beast recognize a master. If one tried to force it to recognize a master, he would be attacked by the beast's clan. Therefore, the beast tamers in the divine realm only existed in name. Those who were not very powerful families did not dare to force the beast to recognize a master. Otherwise, it would be an undeserved disaster for their own families. I think you can try, girl. Contrary to Master Ning's opinion, Uncle Long was well aware of how many beasts Leng Ruoxue had in her interspace. Most of them were king-level divine beasts. With their help, it would be easier for Shuai to tame the beasts in the land of demons. After all, the status of the beast's bloodline was very clear. This difference in status was inborn and could not be made up for later. Previously, he had objected because he had not expected Leng Ruoxue to want to tame those beasts. As such, he did not approve of Shuai choosing that place as her territory. However, after Leng Ruoxue had this idea, he felt that it was a good idea. Furthermore, Leng Ruoxue was a good master that the beasts could entrust their lives to. For the good of the beasts, he naturally had to agree. You think that's an easy thing? For so many years, it was not that no one had ever thought of that, but no one had ever succeeded. Why was that? Wasn't it because the irreconcilable differences between the humans and beasts were too deep? It might be easier to subdue a beastie, but to subdue an entire clan of beastie, do you think you're playing house? This little girl doesn't understand the rules here, but don't tell me you don't. He even added to the chaos. This is preposterous. The master of the Ning family roared at Uncle Long. It's not like this little girl has never taken a clan of beasts. Haven't you seen the silver wolves in her hands? Uncle Long said disapprovingly. Those are collected in the lower realm. Why don't you try collecting a group in the divine realm? It would be a wonder if those silver wolves didn't bite you to death. The master of the Ning family rolled his eyes and said unhappily. The beasts in the lower realm were weak, and their hatred for humans was not that deep. Naturally, they would not think too much, but the beasts in the divine realm were different. The divine realm's beasts were usually born as saint beasts, and those with good aptitudes would also become divine beasts. They were born with high intelligence, and each and every one of them was astute and cunning, not much worse than humans. Were such beasts so easy to get along with? He had lived in the divine realm for so many years, but other than the divine master, he had never heard of anyone who could make the entire beastie race recognize him as their master. Therefore, to him, this was simply a fantasy. How do you know if you don't try? Moreover, there are a few wolf tribes in the land of evil demons. Little girl, you should go and try. Uncle Long suggested. Little girl, if you can really subdue the beasts in the land of demons, even if you can only subdue one, it'll let you make that place your territory. Moreover, if the other beasts dare to find trouble with you, it'll be responsible for bringing people to destroy them. But if you fail, you can only choose a place that Uncle Long and I have chosen as your territory. The master of the Ning family started to talk about his conditions. The reason why he said this was because he did not think highly of Leng Ruoxue. Hence, he was fearless. And his motive was naturally to hope that Leng Ruoxue would give up. Chapter 18:15, The Land of the Demons. For, Godfather, do you mean what you say? Leng Ruoxue raised her brows and confirmed with a faint smile. Of course it counts. However, you only have half a month to subdue them. If you fail, you'll have to give up that place. The master of the Ning family reminded. Half a month is more than enough. Leng Ruoxue said with confidence. Actually, this place was also suggested by the demon, and she trusted his judgment. The forest and mountains had always been her first choice for territory. With this, she wouldn't have to be stuck in a dilemma. Otherwise, no matter which place her godfather or Uncle Long chose, she would only make the other sad. She didn't care how dangerous the land of demons was. After all, when she chose Nightmare Forest as her territory on the godly mainland, it was also very dangerous. But didn't it become her territory in the end? Little girl, do you want to reconsider? The master of the Ning family saw that she had agreed so readily and was a little worried. No need. I've already considered it. Leng Ruoxue was full of confidence. In that case, let's set off tomorrow. The master of the Ning family said unwillingly. He didn't know why, but seeing Shuai so confident, he actually felt that his conditions were too simple. It was really too strange. He felt at a loss for what he was thinking. Good. Then I'll go make the preparations. With that, Leng Ruoxue stood up and pulled the evildoer away from Master Ning's residence, in case her godfather went back on his words. The next day. Early in the morning, Leng Ruoxue, who was ready, brought the evildoer, Feng De, and the rest to Master Ning's residence. Master Ning saw how excited they were and felt that his conditions were a little too hasty. How could this be? Could he go back on his word now? After Shuai left yesterday, he had been feeling uncomfortable, as if he had overlooked something. Now, this feeling was even stronger, and he really couldn't figure it out no matter how much he thought about it. Then, he caught a glimpse of Uncle Long's sympathetic gaze. Although the sympathy disappeared very quickly, he still caught it. He was furious. You old whale, what's with that look? What did I do? Uncle Long said innocently. The Ning family's kid had called him Brother Long before. But now, he had actually become the old whale that he was referring to. This was preposterous. What a disrespectful little brat. Why are you looking at me with such a strange expression? The master of the Ning family said angrily. Of course, he couldn't say that Uncle Long was looking at him with sympathy, but Uncle Long's eyes were really hateful. You're going through menopause, right? Why are you so suspicious? When did I look at you with such a strange expression? Girl, you have to be my judge. How can the Ning family's boy randomly bite people? Uncle Long looked at Leng Ruoxue pitifully and asked her to seek justice for him. Seeing this, Leng Ruoxue helplessly smiled and changed the topic. Godfather, Uncle Long, it's getting late. Shouldn't we set off? Let's go. The master of the Ning family said fiercely. Moreover, under his strong request, everyone took a disguise pill, and then they left the Ning family's main residence in batches. Although Leng Ruoxue had been grounded by him during this period of time, there were still people from the Ning family entering and leaving the main residence every day. Hence, they would not attract any attention even if they went out in batches. After they left the main city, everyone immediately gathered together and headed straight for the land of demons. On the way, Master Ning spared no effort in trying to persuade Leng Ruoxue to change her mind, but Leng Ruoxue was unmoved and kept changing the topic. Godfather, why doesn't anyone want to occupy the Wen family's divine territory? Sitting on the little peacock's back, Leng Ruoxue pretended to be curious and tried to find a topic to talk about. There are many families who have their eyes on that place. However, they wouldn't dare to have any ideas about the Wen family's divine realm now. The old god of plagues is still healthy. Isn't devouring the Wen family's divine realm just asking for trouble? Master Ning spoke the truth. After he finished, he glared at Leng Ruoxue. Stupid girl, you're changing the topic again. That's true. Godfather, I'm going to sleep for a while. Wake me up when we reach the demonic land. Leng Ruoxue said with a smile. After she finished speaking, she laid her head on the evildoer's lap and went to sleep peacefully. When Master Ning saw this, he couldn't do anything to her. Uncle Long also laughed even more happily. When it was close to noon, Leng Ruoxue and the rest finally arrived at the land of demons. Leng Ruoxue, who had been awoken, looked at the huge trees at the entrance of the land of demons. Her mood was exceptionally good. The so-called land of the demons did not refer to just one place. It referred to the continuous mountains in front of them, and the vast, uninhabited desert to the left of the forest. Therefore, the land of the demons was very vast. As for the forest in front of them, it was naturally called the demon forest. The territory that she had chosen was hidden behind this demon forest. With this forest as a barrier, even if the enemy wanted to attack, it would not be an easy task. After seeing the terrain here, she was even more satisfied. She had to take down this place. Not only were there mountains and rivers, but the resources here were also exceptionally abundant. It was definitely the perfect place to train. However, what surprised Leng Ruoxue was that there were not many people at the entrance of the forest. Godfather, are there any other entrances to this forest? Leng Ruoxue asked curiously. Girl, this is the only entrance to the demon forest, and it's also the safest way. The evil demon forest had a long history in the divine realm, and the reason why it was called the land of evil demons was not an undeserved reputation. Other than the huge number of beasts here, this place was also a natural maze. Therefore, if one wanted to enter the evil demon forest, one had to take this path. Otherwise, one would only get lost in the forest, or even be trapped in the forest forever. But, it seems like we can still enter the demon forest through those giant trees, right? Leng Ruoxue raised her head and looked into the distance. Even though the trees in this forest were huge and tall, there was still a certain distance between the trees. To her, this distance was enough for someone to pass by. Girl, you can't walk there. This demon forest is a natural maze. If you don't enter from this path, you'll definitely get lost. At that time, let alone entering the forest, you won't even be able to get out. Uncle Long explained with a smile. I see. Leng Ruoxue nodded. Uncle Long's words made her feel more at ease. Following that, she couldn't help but urge, let's go in quickly. Ha ha ha. Girl, what's the rush? No one's snatching it from you. Uncle Long laughed and teased. Time is tight. Godfather only gave me half a month's time, and it's already been half a day. Leng Ruoxue pouted her pink lips as her beautiful eyes stared at her godfather with hidden bitterness. Seeing Leng Ruoxue's gaze, Master Ning really wanted to say, "I'll regret giving you half a month's time." He regretted it. He regretted making such a condition. Who asked him to be so uneasy? However, it was too late to regret now. Shuai would definitely not agree. Hence, he could only hope that Shuai would not succeed. Chapter 18:16, The Devil's Land, 5, but was that possible? Looking at the confidence on Leng Ruoxue's face, he felt even more uncertain. Godfather, Uncle Long, I'll go in first. Leng Ruoxue could tell what her godfather was thinking. She pulled the evildoer and ran into the evil demon forest. Feng De and the rest followed closely behind. Seeing this, Uncle Long grabbed Master Ning's arm and walked in, comforting him as he walked. Ning family's boy, be happy. What's the point of thinking about all that now? If Shuai can really subdue the beasts here, then this place is a good choice. He was very open-minded. Not bad, my ass. It's not like you don't know how dangerous this place is. The master of the Ning family gritted his teeth. He really wanted to bite Uncle Long. Danger and opportunity coexist. Have some spirit of adventure. Uncle Long said with a smile. You, Master Ning's eyes widened in anger. Uncle Long smiled helplessly. I can understand how you feel, but you have to know that this little girl doesn't like you being so naggy. She's not an ordinary person. You can't always protect her under your wings. Of course I know that. I'm just not happy that she's treating this place as her territory. The master of the Ning family said in a low voice. What can I do if I'm not satisfied? Words that have been said are like water that has been spilled. Don't tell me you want to renege on your words. Uncle Long teased with a smile. Of course you can't go back on your word, but if Shuai is unable to subdue the beasts here, you can't speak up for her. The master of the Ning family warned. Don't worry, I won't help anyone. Is that okay? Uncle Long promised. Master Ning nodded in satisfaction. Then, the two of them quickly followed Leng Ruoxue's group. Godfather, what are you and Uncle Long doing? Why are you so slow? Leng Ruoxue looked at the two people who had followed behind her and asked with a suspicious look. Hee hee. Let's take a look at the scenery here. Master Ning said perfunctorily. What's there to see here? Are there only trees? Feng De heard Master Ning's words and said in a puzzled manner. In his opinion, these two old men were obviously up to something. We just like to look at trees, can't we? Master Ning's eyes were wide open as he roared in anger. All right. You can watch whatever you like. I have no objections. Feng De shrunk his neck and said fearfully, Woo, I didn't say anything. Why was she angry at him? He felt so wronged. Miss, there are so few people here. The depressed Feng De turned around and ran to Leng Ruoxue's side, changing the topic. Of course there aren't many people here. This is the second most dangerous place in the immortal realm. Do you think that everyone likes to come here? Hearing Feng De's words, the master of the Ning family rolled his eyes and roared. Oh! Feng De responded softly and looked at his young lady with a face full of resentment. Woo! He didn't ask this old man. Why was this old man acting as if he had choked on medicine? He really didn't know who had provoked him and made him the scapegoat. Ha ha ha! Godfather, are we going to look for the beasts now? Leng Ruoxue was well aware of why her godfather was so angry. However, once she had decided on something, she wouldn't change her mind so easily. Furthermore, she was confident that she could subdue the beasts here. As long as she could subdue a group of beasts, her godfather would have no reason to object to her making this place her territory. Why are we looking for a herd now? I'm tired after flying for so long. Let's find a place to rest. The master of the Ning family didn't even think about it and directly asked to rest. All right then. Leng Ruoxue was helpless. Following that, the group found an empty space. Leng Ruoxue took out her house and placed it on the empty space. Then, she started to prepare lunch. After lunch, the master of the Ning family said he wanted to take a nap and then return to his room. When Leng Ruoxue saw this, she knew that she might not be able to continue going deeper into the forest today. She pulled the demon along and left the house quietly. Walking in the forest and breathing in the fresh air of the forest, the two were in a good mood. As they walked, the two of them went deeper and deeper into the forest. Leng Ruoxue also discovered many medicinal herbs along the way. The two of them picked them as they walked, and unknowingly, the sky had darkened. Leng Ruoxue and the demon found a clean place to sit down. After starting a fire, Leng Ruoxue took out a pot from her bracelet. She also took out some uncooked rice and a piece of fish, planning to cook some fish porridge. Not long after, the fragrance of the rice and the deliciousness of the fish wafted out from the pot. Leng Ruoxue scooped out 2 bowls. The two of them had just taken a few bites when they heard a rustling sound coming from the grass not far away. They looked at each other, then stood up and walked towards the grass with suspicious looks on their faces. The demon pushed aside the grass and did not find anything suspicious. However, when the two of them turned back to the fire, they found that the porridge they had cooked was gone. Damn it, someone stole our congee. The demon was a little angry. They had only eaten a few mouthfuls of the porridge, but now, the pot and the bowl had been stolen. It's okay, let's eat something good. Leng Ruoxue said with a smile. Then, she took out a pile of food from her bracelet and started to cook again. A moment later, the food was ready. The food prepared this time was mainly stir-fried, and it looked, smelled, and tasted great. In addition, some meat and fish were roasted, filling up the entire table. Chapter 18-17, Shameful Behavior. 1. The demon's eyes sparkled when he saw the table full of food. He picked up a grilled fish impatiently and was about to eat it. However, a red light suddenly flashed and the fish in his hand disappeared. Seeing this, Leng Ruoxue picked up a fish as well. With a flash of red light, the fish in her hand was also snatched away. The speed of the red light was extremely fast. Leng Ruoxue could only tell that it was a beastie, but she could not make out what kind of beastie it was. She exchanged glances with the demon and the two of them continued to pick up their food silently. However, the moment they picked up their food, it was immediately snatched away by the mysterious little beast. Upon seeing this, Leng Ruoxue gave the demon a look. The demon understood and picked up another piece of meat to eat. The red light arrived as expected. Leng Ruoxue acted swiftly and in the blink of an eye, a small beast that was entirely red in color was caught firmly in her hands. This little beast was a red little wolf. It was only the size of a palm, and its fluffy fiery red fur had no impurities. It had a pair of sparkling black eyes, and at this moment, it was timidly peeking at Leng Ruoxue. Little wolf, don't you know that stealing is a very shameful act? Leng Ruoxue glanced at the little red wolf in her hand and asked indifferently. I'm hungry. The little red wolf said pitifully. Its black grape-like eyes were filled with moisture. It was as if it would start a heavy downpour if Leng Ruoxue continued to scold it. You can't steal when you're hungry. Leng Ruoxue said with a look of disapproval. The red wolf pouted and couldn't speak. Next time, you're not allowed to steal things, understand? Leng Ruoxue looked at the little red wolf's aggrieved expression and smiled helplessly. Her hand could not help but stroke the little red wolf's soft fur. It felt good. My father said that humans are all bad guys, and we can steal their things. The little red wolf said in a low voice after a long silence. When Leng Ruoxue heard the little red wolf's words, she was a little dumbfounded. It seemed like this little wolf's family didn't have a good impression of humans. However, instigating a child to steal was always immoral. This would also lead the child astray. Therefore, Leng Ruoxue was extremely disapproving of this. Little fellow, although there are bad people among humans, there are also good people. Big sister is a good person. If you're hungry, tell big sister and I'll be happy to share some food with you. But stealing is not right. Leng Ruoxue said earnestly, trying to guide this little wolf who had strayed off the right path. However, the wolf cub obviously did not appreciate it. Instead, it pouted its little mouth proudly and said with a face full of doubt, "My mother also said that humans who claim to be good people are actually not good people." Ah! When Leng Ruoxue heard what the wolf cub had to say, she could not help but wipe the cold sweat off her forehead. She thought to herself, what kind of wolves are the parents of this wolf cub? How could he teach a child such a bad thing? In fact, what she didn't know was that this wolf cub was simple by nature, and its parents were very afraid that it would be deceived by humans' sweet words. Therefore, they always spoke ill of human beings. After a long time of influence, it was impossible for the wolf cub to think that human beings were good. Hence, even though Leng Ruoxue kept saying that she was a good person, the innocent little wolf still didn't really believe her. Furthermore, it raised its guard, its black grape-like eyes carefully staring at her, afraid that the woman who had captured it would harm it. Looking at the depressed Leng Ruoxue, then at the alert little red wolf, the demon smiled and asked, "Little wolf, where are your parents? Can you let us see them?" "See them? What are you guys doing?" The little red wolf asked nervously and even bared its teeth on purpose, trying to intimidate the demon so that he wouldn't have any bad intentions. At this moment, Leng Ruoxue and the evildoer were the most heinous criminals in the eyes of the little red wolf. Not only did they capture it, but they also wanted to see their parents. There was really nothing good about humans. Not only did they capture it, but they also wanted to settle the score with their parents. How despicable. The red wolf was filled with resentment, but it was a pity that it was weak and alone. It couldn't do anything to these two humans. Woo! The more it thought about it, the more aggrieved it became. Crystal clear tears involuntarily rolled down from its bright black eyes. It looked extremely pitiful. Seeing that the little wolf was going to reign just like that, Leng Ruoxue and the demon were extremely helpless. They didn't seem to have done anything, okay? Why did this little fellow suddenly start crying? Who has the guts to bully my son? Suddenly, an earth-shattering roar entered Leng Ruoxue and the demon's ears. The two of them raised their heads in unison and saw a giant red wolf descending from the sky, landing right in front of them. The red wolf was as huge as a small mountain. Its large eyes were like copper bells. After sizing up Leng Ruoxue and the demon for a while, it focused all its attention on the remaining food on the table. Then, a red shadow quickly scuttled to the table and began to gobble up the food without caring about its image. When Leng Ruoxue saw that the huge red wolf, which was the father of the little wolf, had even cast his son aside after seeing the food on the table, she was instantly filled with black lines. He thought that the wolf father would be angry when he saw that his son had been caught by them. Who knew that the thunder was loud but the rain was light? He had forgotten about his son when he had food. What the hell was this? Leng Ruoxue looked at the little red wolf in her hand speechlessly. Her beautiful eyes were filled with sympathy. However, she didn't expect that the little wolf didn't take her father's performance seriously at all. Instead, it was staring at her father with envy, jealousy, and hatred. Its black and bright eyes were filled with dissatisfaction. This pair of foodies. Leng Ruoxue was speechless. She didn't know how to evaluate this father and son pair. Luckily, she didn't have any ill intentions towards them. Otherwise, this father and son pair would have been hers to claim. It was only after the giant red wolf had swept away all the food on the table like a gust of wind sweeping away fallen leaves that he remembered what he had to do. It wiped its mouth, then widened its bell-like black eyes and said fiercely, "Human. Hurry up and let my son go. Since you've contributed a delicious meal, I won't argue with you." Seeing the giant red wolf's look of mercy, Leng Ruoxue smiled and said, "But, what should we do if we want to argue with you?" "What? Do you know what this place is? You actually dare to argue with me?" The huge red wolf widened its eyes in disbelief. It stared at Leng Ruoxue as if she had said something she should not have. I know this is the land of the evil demons, but this doesn't have anything to do with us being calculative with you, right? Leng Ruoxue raised her brows and said calmly. How can we not have sex? You're eating and drinking on my territory, you're deliberately craving me, and you've even captured my son. How can you have nothing to do with me? You should be secretly happy that I didn't argue with you, but you actually dare to argue with me, how preposterous. You should know that this is the territory of our Fire Wolf clan. You should be well behaved in my territory. Well, you should pay some protection fees. I'll make sure you're free from any obstructions. How about that? Chapter 1818, Shameful Behavior. 2. The giant red wolf had spoken righteously in the beginning, but towards the end, it actually demanded protection fees from Leng Ruoxue. Leng Ruoxue did not know whether to laugh or cry. This wolf was really out of line. Leng Ruoxue was completely speechless. Seeing that Leng Ruoxue and the demon remained silent for a long time, the giant red wolf became anxious. You guys should give a reaction. Do you agree or not? The red wolf asked loudly. So what if I agree? So what if I don't agree? Leng Ruoxue's beautiful face was filled with confusion as she asked. If you agree to pay the protection fee, it'll keep you safe as long as you're in the territory of my Fire Wolf clan. Otherwise, don't blame me for not caring if you're dead or alive if you cause any trouble. The giant red wolf said in a seemingly sincere manner. To ensure our safety. This condition is quite tempting. Leng Ruoxue said with a smile. So, you guys agree? The giant red wolf's face revealed a look of joy, and its voice sounded a lot more cheerful. We don't have any money. Leng Ruoxue's words were very reserved and she had an apologetic look on her face. It's fine as long as you make me a table full of food like this every day. The giant red wolf laughed. That smile was as wretched as it could get. Hearing its words, the little wolf was not happy. Father. I also want it. You have to make me a table full of delicious food. The little red wolf roared in anger, afraid that its father would forget its existence once he had good food. That was the truth. Mmh. No problem, the giant red wolf heard its son's words and nodded as if it was a matter of course. Let her cook 3 tables, so that our family of 3 won't have to fight over food. The giant red wolf added. Leng Ruoxue continued to be speechless as she listened to the father and son's arrangements. In her opinion, not only did the father and son act like they were close, but they also seemed to be confused about the situation. Right now, this little wolf was still her prisoner, alright? Why didn't they have any awareness of being a prisoner? It's settled then. You guys will cook 3 tables for us every day. After the giant red wolf finished its discussion with its son, it told Leng Ruoxue again. Leng Ruoxue could not help but roll her eyes. Your son is still in my hands. How do you plan to redeem it? Why do you want to redeem it? This is my territory. If you want to stay here safe and sound, you naturally have to return my son to me, and you can't let him lose a single hair, otherwise, I can't protect you. The giant red wolf said matter-of-factly. Why? Leng Ruoxue was astonished. Didn't I make myself clear? How come you still don't understand? The huge red wolf said with some anger. You didn't make yourself clear. You just keep emphasizing that this is your territory, but even if you're the local wolf here, your son stole my things. I can't return them to you so easily, right? With your son in my hands, do you still dare to harm me? Leng Ruoxue chuckled as she spoke. Her words angered the giant red wolf to its core. Damn it! This human was not afraid of it. This fact made it extremely depressed. One must know that it was an 8th-level Saint Divine beast. In the entire evil demon forest, it was also one of the fire wolves with a reputation and status. Even if humans saw it, they would tremble all over. However, this human girl in front of him actually did not take it seriously and even used her son to threaten it. This was really preposterous. If the old wolf didn't show its might, did he really think it was just a decoration? Thinking of this, the giant red wolf was furious. With a loud howl, the giant red wolf pounced towards Leng Ruoxue, wanting to teach this little human girl a lesson. However, before it could get close to Leng Ruoxue, the evildoer beside Leng Ruoxue immediately blocked in front of her and stretched out both his hands to grab onto its front claws. The demon put his hands together and grabbed the two front claws of the red wolf. With a whoosh, he threw it out. Suddenly, a red meteor streaked across the pitch-black night sky. Then, the giant red wolf disappeared. After that, the demon clapped his hands and smiled at Leng Ruoxue. "Shuer, it's quiet now. I've thrown the old wolf out." "Yes." Leng Ruoxue smiled and nodded. She had not expected the evildoer to have such a skill. This was truly out of her expectations. Following that, she spoke to the little red wolf in her arms. "Little guy, I don't know where your father has run off to. There's no one to back you up now, right?" The little red wolf didn't take Leng Ruoxue's teasing seriously. Instead, it said to Leng Ruoxue in a serious tone, "Who said so? My mother has the final say in our family. She's the head of the family. At home, even my father has to listen to my mother." After saying that, the little red wolf howled at the top of its lungs, "Mother! Someone is bullying your precious son." At this time, it didn't pretend to be pitiful anymore, because these two humans didn't even care about its father, let alone it. Therefore, it was in a hurry to call for help. As soon as the red wolf cub's howl ended, an angry roar came from the distance. "Who dares to bully my son? You really don't want to live anymore." Following that, Leng Ruoxue and the demon heard the sound of earth shaking running from a distance in the forest. The sound was deafening and the ground they were standing on started to shake. Furthermore, from the sound of the footsteps, it didn't seem to be a beastie. Just as they had expected, when the footsteps got closer, in an instant, thousands of fiery red wolves had arrived in front of them and surrounded Leng Ruoxue and the demon. "Human! Let go of my son, or I'll teach you a lesson." The one who spoke was a female wolf. This female wolf stood at the front of the pack. Compared to the other giant wolves, she was much smaller, but her intimidating aura was above any other wolf. The other fire wolves also followed her lead. It was not difficult to see that she had a high status in this pack of wolves. "Your son is in our hands, yet you're still threatening us like this. Aren't you afraid that we'll hurt it?" Leng Ruoxue reminded her with a smile on her face. "Human! What do you want? Don't you hurt my son." When the female wolf heard Leng Ruoxue's words, she became anxious. "I didn't want to hurt it. You guys are too nervous." Leng Ruoxue laughed. "If you don't intend to hurt my son, then why did you catch it? Humans! I'm warning you, my son will never acknowledge a human as his master. So, you can give up. Let go of my son, and I'll pretend this never happened. Otherwise, don't even think about walking out of the evil demon forest alive." The mother wolf used both soft and hard tactics. The nervousness that flashed through her eyes revealed her fear at the moment. "You're thinking too much. I caught it because it stole my food, not because I wanted to recognize me as its master. So, as long as you give me an explanation, I'll let it go." Leng Ruoxue said with a smile. "Then what do you want?" The female wolf felt more at ease after hearing Leng Ruoxue's words. Chapter 18-19, Shameful Behavior, 3, That's up to you. Leng Ruoxue said lightly. However, the female wolf was extremely unhappy when she heard this. "Look at it." "Look at what?" It didn't know what this human wanted. Humans have always been greedy. If we can't satisfy their demands, what if they hurt our children? The female wolf was very nervous. A hint of anxiety flashed across her pitch-black eyes, but the gaze she used to look at Leng Ruoxue was unusually calm. "I'm willing to compensate on its behalf. You can name any conditions you want, as long as it's within my means." The mother wolf thought for a while and said, "You're really forthright. If that's the case, I won't make things difficult for you. As long as you give me a list of the beasts in the land of demons, I'll forget about your son stealing my food. Leng Ruoxue was very satisfied with this female wolf's attitude. This was more like a normal mother. As for the male wolf, it was completely out of line. What do you want the list of beasts for? I won't give it to you. When the female wolf heard Leng Ruoxue's request, she looked at her with extreme vigilance. Don't be nervous, I don't have any bad intentions. I just want to bond with them. Leng Ruoxue told him the truth. This was indeed her plan. Bond? You're a human, why are you trying to bond with us orcs? The female wolf scoffed at Leng Ruoxue's words and revealed a mocking smile. I plan to set up my territory in the demonic land, so I naturally have to build a good relationship with the original residents here. In the future, we'll be neighbors. Leng Ruoxue explained her motive and shot a glance at the female wolf. You want to set up your territory here? Ha ha ha. Human, you're too whimsical. This is impossible. The female wolf said firmly. Beasts hated humans, so how could they be willing to live in peace with humans? If this human woman really set up her territory in the land of demons, would the land of demons still have any peace? No. It was the first to not allow it. Nothing is impossible in this world. Everything depends on human effort. Leng Ruoxue said confidently. Human. You've set up your territory in the land of demons, and we, the fire wolves, were the first to object. You can't even get past me, do you think the beasts here will agree to you staying? The mother wolf kindly reminded him. To be honest, she had a good impression of this human. After all, she had not really hurt her child. However, even so, she would not agree to this human setting up a territory under their eyes, because that would mean endless trouble. It wasn't easy for them to calm down, and they couldn't let this human ruin their peaceful days. What if I say that setting up my territory here is also beneficial to you? Leng Ruoxue threw out a huge bait. What good does it do for us? The mother wolf asked curiously. Although the other giant wolves didn't say anything, they were also curious. I'm an alchemist. Leng Ruoxue said softly. Alchemist? This identity is indeed quite tempting. The female wolf pondered for a moment before telling the truth. Alchemists were highly respected in both the human domain and the beast clan. Those alchemists with good reputation and character were also treated with respect by the beasts. After all, no human or beast could live without pills. The fact that this woman was an alchemist made some of the beasts happy, but it was not absolute. It continued, even if you're an alchemist, it's impossible for you to convince all the beasts in the land of evil demons to agree to you setting up your territory here. If any race objects, then your days here won't be easy. After all, the beasts in the land of evil demons are one and share both honor and disgrace. I understand. If you're willing to help me introduce them to me, not only will I return your precious son to you in one piece, I will also give you some medicinal pills as a reward. How about it? Leng Ruoxue tried to entice her. She believed that the benefits she offered would definitely attract this female wolf. I can't make the decision myself. I need to go back and discuss it with the elders. The female wolf said calmly. In fact, she was very excited. After all, it was rare for an alchemist to be willing to give them pills. However, she didn't want this human woman to see through her. Otherwise, she wouldn't be able to take the initiative. She was quite a scheming person. Sure, when will you give me an answer? Leng Ruoxue nodded and asked. Within 3 days, the mother wolf thought for a moment and said. All right, he said. Leng Ruoxue agreed and passed the little wolf to the mother wolf. The mother wolf held the little wolf in her arms and looked at Leng Ruoxue in surprise. She never thought that this human woman would return her child to her. Was she not afraid that she would never return? Thinking of this, it hugged the wolf cub tightly and asked curiously, if I don't keep my son as a hostage, aren't you afraid that I won't give you an answer? Don't doubt a man, and don't use a man you doubt. Since I've given you time, I naturally believe that you're a beastie who keeps your word. Moreover, if your son stays with me, I still have to feed him well. It's really too much of a loss. So, you'd better raise him yourself. Leng Ruoxue teased them jokingly. Even though it was a joke, it was partly true. The way the fire wolf father and son ate had really frightened her. It would probably cost a lot of money to raise these two gluttons, so she gave up on it after some thought. When the mother wolf heard Leng Ruoxue's disdain for her son, she did not get angry. Instead, she smiled and asked, "If there's a result, how do I contact you? Are we still here to find you?" "No, there's a house not far from here. You can just send your subordinates there to find me," Leng Ruoxue said after some thought. "All right." The mother wolf nodded and led the other wolves out of the place. Before they left, the little red wolf in the mother wolf's arms was still reluctant to part with Leng Ruoxue. It looked at Leng Ruoxue with resentment as if she had done something to let it down. Leng Ruoxue was speechless when she saw this. After the wolf pack left, the demon said with disappointment, "I thought there would be a fierce battle. In the end, nothing happened. Ha ha ha. That little wolf is in our hands, so that female wolf wouldn't dare to attack us. Moreover, we didn't hurt her son at all, so she has no reason to take the initiative to attack us," Leng Ruoxue explained with a smile. "Swear, you've returned that gluttonous little wolf to it. Do you think it'll come after us to settle the score and find trouble with us?" the demon said with some anticipation. His hands were a little itchy. "I won tea. It wouldn't risk the lives of the wolf clan for a human it doesn't know. Besides, we didn't do anything, so it doesn't have that much hatred for us. Besides, didn't I tell it that I'm an alchemist? It knows my identity and is very happy," Leng Ruoxue said. When she had revealed her identity, the surprise in the female wolf's eyes had not escaped her eyes. Chapter 1820, Shameful Behavior, 4, "If that's the case, then I won't be able to fight?" the demon said gloomily. "I won tea. Not all beasts will welcome our existence," Leng Ruoxue said with a smile. Since the evildoer wanted to fight, they would leave the other beasts who did not welcome them to the evildoer. She was a pacifist. She would either not fight or not give her opponent a chance to turn the tables. That makes sense. I only hope that those beastie who don't welcome us can take a beating. Otherwise, I'll be disappointed." The demon laughed evilly. "I hope they won't let you down," Leng Ruoxue teased. Following that, the two of them packed up their things and entered the bracelet to rest. They returned to the house the next morning. After seeing them, Master Ning's face darkened as he circled Leng Ruoxue a few times. However, he did not say a word, which made Leng Ruoxue confused. "Godfather. What's the matter?" Leng Ruoxue's heart was trembling. What was wrong with Godfather? How had she offended him? Hee. Little girl. The Ning family's kid is jealous. Yesterday, you two went to have some alone time, but left us here, so he's angry. Uncle Long explained with a smile. When the master of the Ning family heard his words, he snorted arrogantly and walked away. Ah! Leng Ruoxue was speechless as she watched her godfather's back view. It was clearly her godfather who said he was tired and wanted to rest. How could they be the ones who abandoned him? Hee. Little girl, ignore him. Come, tell Uncle Long, what did you do yesterday? Uncle Long asked curiously. These two little guys didn't come back last night. Leng Ruoxue nodded. Then, she told Uncle Long about their encounter with the Fire Wolf clan in the forest. After listening, Uncle Long pondered for a moment before he slapped his thigh and said, "Girl, you're so lucky. The Fire Wolves are one of the major races in the Demon Lands, and they have a very high status there. If they agree to let you set up your territory here, the smaller beast clans that are attached to them will naturally agree as well. At that time, your resistance will be much smaller." I thought so too, but that female Fire Wolf didn't agree immediately. I even asked it to help introduce me to the other beast clans. It said it would go back and discuss with the elders, but from its expression at that time, it was very satisfied with my identity as an alchemist. Leng Ruoxue analyzed. Don't worry. They'll definitely agree. Having an alchemist as their neighbor is a blessing to any beast. Only a fool would refuse. Uncle Long said with certainty. As a beastie, he naturally understood the importance of being an alchemist. No beastie could reject the friendship of an alchemist. However, the prerequisite was that the alchemist must be worthy of beastie's friendship. And this little girl, Leng Ruoxue, definitely had the ability to do so. But girl. The Ning family's boy's condition is that you have to subdue a beast clan before he will agree to you setting up your territory here. So, it's not enough to just get those beasts to agree to you setting up your territory here, you also have to find a way to subdue them. Uncle Long reminded him. I understand. Befriending them is just the first step. I'm going to use Cannonball to slowly capture them and make them take the initiative to recognize me as their master. Leng Ruoxue's smile was like a sly little fox. Hee hee. Little girl, you're right to think this way. After this period of time together, I even want to recognize you as my master, let alone them. In my opinion, the beasts here will be yours sooner or later. Uncle Long said half-jokingly. Uncle Long. I'm treating you as my elder. Uncle Long's words caused Leng Ruoxue's heart to palpitate as she hurriedly replied. I know, but, for me to have such a thought, doesn't it mean that you are worthy of the beastie's recognition? I've lived for so long, and I've seen too many people. There are all kinds of humans, and none of their qualities can escape my fiery eyes. As for you, I can't find any problems with you. Uncle Long said emotionally. Uncle Long. No one is perfect. Leng Ruoxue said, feeling a little embarrassed. Uncle Long's words made her face blush. Ha ha ha. Yes, you love money a little, but you did it in a proper way. Uncle Long said with a smile. He was in a good mood. Ah. Hearing this, Leng Ruoxue's forehead was filled with black lines. That was the truth. Who asked her to feed so many people and beasts? The day passed by quickly under Leng Ruoxue and Uncle Long's teasing. The next day. The Fire Wolf clan's representative came looking for him. The representative sent by the Fire Wolf clan this time was a young fire wolf with a handsome appearance and a strong body. The long red fur on its body was even more dazzling than flames. Leng Ruoxue's eyes were filled with envy. She had no choice. Who asked her to be unable to reject furry little animals? And this fire wolf looked so powerful. Compared to the male fire wolf yesterday, one was in the sky and the other was on the ground. There was no comparison at all. Looking at this young and strong male fire wolf, Leng Ruoxue could not help but doubt the taste of the female wolf from yesterday. However, it was possible that she liked such a heavy taste. This was purely a matter of personal preference. Dear Lady Alchemist, Im Hua Ku. The female wolf you saw the day before yesterday is my sister, Hua Qiong. Hua Ku bowed to Leng Ruoxue very politely. Hello, no need to be so polite. You can just call me Leng Ruoxue. Leng Ruoxue said hurriedly. It was rare to see such a polite beastie, and she had a very good impression of Hua Ku. At least this fellow was very normal. Miss Leng, since you're so forthright, then I'll be direct. Hua Ku said directly. Yes. Leng Ruoxue nodded. She really liked Hua Ku's straightforward personality. Young Miss Leng, I heard that you are an alchemist. May I take the liberty to ask your level? After hesitating for a while, Hua Ku asked with an apologetic look. Chapter 1821, The Fire Wolf Clan's Decision, 1. 2 days ago, when his elder sister returned, she had told the elders in the clan about this matter. However, the opinions of the clan were not unified. The reason why he asked was because he wanted to know if Leng Ruoxue's identity as an alchemist was enough. Before coming here, the clan had put forward 2 backup plans. Regardless of whether Leng Ruoxue was an ordinary alchemist or an extremely experienced alchemist, they would naturally have a way to deal with her. And it was clear that the treatment of these two identities was different. I've never been to the Alchemist Guild headquarters to get certified. Leng Ruoxue said, a little embarrassed. Ah. Huoku was a little dumbfounded. Before she came, she had imagined many answers from Leng Ruoxue, but she had never expected to hear this. An uncertified alchemist. What should she do? There was a clear rule in the divine world that an alchemist who had not been certified was not qualified to be an alchemist. Moreover, the plan given to her by the elders did not include how to deal with this kind of situation. Thinking of this, the corner of Huoke's mouth could not help twitching. Boo, she was depressed. Looking at Huoke's conflicted expression, Leng Ruoxue smiled and said, although I haven't been to the Alchemist Guild for certification, you have to have confidence in my alchemy skills. I won't let you down. Leng Ruoxue's words were full of confidence, but Huoku felt a headache. Trust her. How could it believe her? Even if he believed her, the other beasties wouldn't dare to believe her. This was a huge problem. After all, if she took the medicinal pill concocted by an unlicensed alchemist, it was fine if she was safe and sound, but if something happened, the Alchemist Guild would not make a decision for the victim. Therefore, how could these beasts, who were not rich to begin with, be at ease with her? Gradually, Huoke's gaze towards Leng Ruoxue became more and more resentful. Now, it was really regretful. Why did it have to come here? It didn't need to come, but out of curiosity for this brave human, it came personally. It didn't expect such an outcome. How was it going to explain this to its people? Although I haven't been to the Alchemist Guild for certification, I have a lot of experience in refining pills. Leng Ruoxue smiled humbly. Then, she passed a pill to Huoku and said, this is the pill I refined, you can test it. Huoku took the milky white elixir curiously. Although she was not very good at elixir making, she could tell that the quality of this elixir was good from the spiritual chi flowing on it and the faint light it emitted. It should be a high-level elixir at least. The quality of this medicinal pill is not bad. Miss Leng, can I ask you to refine it once in front of me? Huoku casually observed the elixir before making a request in embarrassment. It wasn't that she didn't believe Leng Ruoxue's words, but this matter was too important to them. After all, this concerned the future of the land of demons. Sure. Leng Ruoxue nodded. Then, she took out an alchemy furnace from her bangle and placed it in front of her. The moment Huoku saw the alchemy furnace, her face was filled with shock. This alchemy furnace must be a divine artifact. In the firmament, there were not many alchemists who could use a divine artifact-grade alchemy furnace to refine pills. After all, the materials required to refine a divine artifact-grade alchemy furnace were extremely rare. Thus, no matter how rich an alchemist was, it was not easy to obtain a divine artifact-grade alchemy furnace. Now, it had more confidence in Leng Ruoxue. Following that, Leng Ruoxue ignited the furnace. The moment her natal flame appeared, a wave of scorching heat rushed towards her, causing Huoku to take a step back. Her heart was filled with fear. This flame was truly too terrifying. Huoku thought to herself with a lingering fear. At the same time, she felt very lucky that she didn't come with hostility. Otherwise, he would be able to finish her off with a fire. But very quickly, it was attracted by Leng Ruoxue's smooth movements. She placed the prepared herbs into the furnace one by one. The herbs entered the extremely high temperature of the furnace and melted into a pool of liquid. Next, it was purification and pill condensation. The whole set of movements was done without any sloppiness, and the movements were so perfect that it made people look askance and extremely dazzling. Not only that, the moment the pill was produced, the spiritual chi in the room surged, and almost all the spiritual chi in the room was attracted to it. As for Huoku, who was just a fire wolf watching the fun, she suddenly became excited. It was rare to have the opportunity to witness an alchemist refining a pill with her own eyes. After all, many alchemists were afraid of others watching them when they were refining pills. After Leng Ruoxue placed the pills into a jade bottle, she passed it to Huoku, who was looking at her with a greedy expression. She said, "The pills I refined just now are for replenishing spiritual energy. I'll give them to you." You're really giving it to me?" Huoke's wolf eyes widened and she said in disbelief. Although she didn't know the level of the elixir, she knew it was definitely not a low level after seeing it with her own eyes. This human was too generous. He gave her a bottle of elixir so easily. Was he dreaming? It felt as if it was in a dream, it was too unreal. Actually, there was a reason for Leng Ruoxue's generosity. Firstly, the pill she had just refined wasn't anything good in her eyes. Secondly, it's better to take it from others. If this beautiful fire wolf had taken her pill, would it not put in a good word for her? Huoku, who didn't feel that she had been tricked, still felt like she was in a dream at this moment. She was floating and couldn't come back to her senses for a long time. If it was said that when it knew that Leng Ruoxue was an uncertified alchemist, it felt depressed and conflicted, then now it was completely ecstatic. It had personally witnessed the process of refining the pills, so its confidence in Leng Ruoxue had increased greatly. With one look at those pills, it knew that they were good stuff. Furthermore, after eating them, there would definitely be no danger to its life. Actually, after finding out that Leng Ruoxue was refining pills without a license, it was more or less afraid. However, it was now at ease and the way it looked at Leng Ruoxue had become dreamy. If the land of evil demons had such an alchemist, then they wouldn't have to worry about medicinal pills in the future, it thought to itself happily. However, it was fortunate that Leng Ruoxue did not pry into Huoke's thoughts. Otherwise, she would definitely be depressed. Who asked Huoku to treat her as a black alchemist? Actually, she was just too lazy to make a trip to the Alchemist Guild. Don't be so surprised. Just as Huoku was immersed in ecstasy and excitement, a slightly mocking voice suddenly rang in her ears. Immediately, Huoku came back to her senses and looked around for the owner of the voice. "Where are you looking at?" "Stupid wolf, I'm on top of you." Upon hearing this, Huoku raised her head and looked up. She saw a petite purple fox lying on a tree above her. The fox glanced at her arrogantly before jumping down from the tree and into Leng Ruoxue's arms. "Master! My lovely master! Did you miss your baby?" Baby rubbed itself affectionately in Leng Ruoxue's arms, and even glanced at the stupid fire wolf as if to show off. Chapter 1822, The Fire Wolf Clan's Decision, 2, This is its potential enemy, so don't even think about being nice to it, Baby thought hatefully and looked at Huoku with an unfriendly gaze. Huoku was stunned by her baby's fiery silver eyes. It didn't offend this little fox, right? Why was this little fox glaring at it like it was an enemy? Those who didn't know would definitely think that there was some deep hatred between them. Huoku felt wronged. At this moment, Baby spoke again. "Stupid wolf, look at your ignorant face. You've never seen such a good pill, have you? To tell you the truth, the pill in your hand is what we usually eat." The baby was so arrogant that his face turned white. Huoku was stunned again after hearing what the baby said. Fuck. What was asking for a beating? This was it. He clearly knew that it was not easy for the beastie to obtain medicinal pills, but he still provoked it like this. Woo. He was really bullying the beastie. The more Huoku thought about it, the angrier she got. In the end, she looked at Leng Ruoxue with tears in her eyes. I didn't expect this. Beastie was actually treated so well. Wasn't he trying to anger the beast to death? However, it couldn't do anything to that little fox that was extremely annoying. Hence, it could only put the blame on its master, Leng Ruoxue. It even wrote "compensate me" on its red face. I'm very aggrieved. However, Leng Ruoxue ignored its reaction and expression as if she didn't see it at all. Instead, her hand continued to caress her precious soft fur, giving it an itch. Seeing Baby closing its eyes in comfort, Huoku had to admit that it was a little jealous. Humans and beasts were usually enemies. Even if there was no enmity between them, they would respect each other and ignore each other. Even beasts who had acknowledged their masters could not get along so well with their masters. However, this fox and Leng Ruoxiu's interaction was so natural and carefree. There was no trace of pretense at all. Huoku was very sure about this. However, if she guessed wrong, it could only mean that the fox's acting skills were too good. Miss Leng, I've already understood your alchemy standard. After a long while, Huoku took the initiative to speak. Otherwise, she didn't know how long her loving master and beastie would ignore her. It felt very aggrieved. Yes, and then? What's the opinion of your Fire Wolf clan? Leng Ruoxiu asked directly. Miss Leng, our Fire Wolf clan had originally already discussed 2 sets of plans, but now there's a little accident. Because you haven't been certified by the Alchemist Guild headquarters, I have to go back and discuss it again with the elders before I can give you a final answer. However, you can rest assured that I will report your alchemy standard truthfully. Huoku spoke the truth. Her words were very sincere and she was even more careful. After all, she had seen Leng Ruoxiu's alchemy skills and was very happy to have such an alchemist in the evil demon's land. All right. Leng Ruoxiu nodded. After that, she sent Huoku out of the house. Baby, on the other hand, had returned to his usual self and wanted to visit the Fire Wolf clan with Huoku. Seeing that Huoku did not reject her, Leng Ruoxiu agreed. 3 days later, Huoku came again, and so did his precious. Other than the 2 of them, there were 2 more burdens beside Huoku. One of them was the greedy little fire wolf that Leng Ruoxiu had met previously. The other one looked even smaller, with a pair of big, black eyes that looked timid. The moment it saw Leng Ruoxiu, the little red wolf immediately shouted, "I'm hungry, I want to eat." After it finished speaking, it looked at Leng Ruoxiu with tears in its eyes. It was as if Leng Ruoxiu did not give it any food, and it would immediately start a storm. It looked so rascally. Leng Ruoxiu's forehead was filled with black lines when she heard the little red wolf's words. If it wasn't for the sake of the Fire Wolf clan, she would have given the little wolf a good spanking. Meanwhile, when Huoku saw the little red wolf's behavior, she subconsciously took a large step back. It was as if the words "I don't know it" were written all over her face. That's right, if it was possible, Huoku really wanted to pretend that she did not know it. This nephew of hers had really embarrassed the wolves. It was fine if he was a little gluttonous in the clan, but now he was acting like this in front of humans. He was as hopeless as his father. Huoku sighed in her heart and looked at Leng Ruoxiu with embarrassment. Her crystal-clear black eyes were filled with apology. "Grape, go and get some food for these 2 little fellows." Sighing lightly, Leng Ruoxiu helplessly ordered Grape beside her. "Yes, miss." Grape smiled and nodded. Just as he was about to bring the 2 wolf pups down, he heard the red wolf pup say with a look of disdain, "Human, is her food as good as yours? I want to eat your cooking, so don't just find someone to fool me." Seeing the little red wolf acting like a big shot, Leng Ruoxiu smiled. Her smile was like a flower in spring, stunning everyone. However, Huoku's heart was in her mouth. In the next second, Leng Ruoxiu grabbed the little red wolf that was acting like a boss and said with a smile that was not a smile, "Little guy, your requirements are quite high." Upon hearing this, Huoku's heart was in her throat. However, the little red wolf had shifted to a more comfortable position in Leng Ruoxiu's hands. It calmly allowed her to grab it. It knew that this human would not hurt it, so it was fearless. My father once said that as a wolf, you have to have high expectations and be worthy of your identity. Otherwise, you're not worthy of being the future king of the Fire Wolf clan. The little red wolf said arrogantly. So that's how it is. In that case, you're the future king of the Fire Wolves. Leng Ruoxiu understood. However, she was worried that the Fire Wolf clan would have such an out-of-line future king. No wonder Huoku only said that she would discuss this with the elders last time. The king of the Fire Wolf clan was probably just a decoration in their clan. He did not have much say in this. Of course. Ha ha ha. Human, You're afraid. The little red wolf said arrogantly. If it was not in Leng Ruoxu's hands, its little tail would have been raised up. Which part of me looks scared? Little wolf's words made Leng Ruoxu speechless. I'm the future king of the Fire Wolf clan. You're not afraid? The little red wolf said in disbelief. It looked at Leng Ruoxu as if it was looking at a monster. I'm not afraid. Leng Ruoxu said indifferently. Why are you not afraid of me? You must know that I'm very powerful. The little red wolf was a little annoyed. It could be considered a little overlord in this land of demons. Many young beasts followed its lead and were its little followers. Therefore, it couldn't understand why a human like it wasn't afraid. Which part of you is amazing? I can only tell that you're a glutton. Leng Ruoxu spoke the truth, and her words had completely hurt the little red wolf's pride. Chapter 1823, The Fire Wolf Clan's Decision, 3, Human. You'll regret it if you look down on me. The little red wolf howled in anger. Then, it bit Leng Ruoxu's wrist viciously. Following that, a set of contract rules enveloped Leng Ruoxu and the little red wolf. The little wolf recognized its master. All of a sudden, all the people and beasts present were dumbfounded. What? What was going on? Why did he suddenly recognize her as his master? Compared to the confusion of Grape and the others, Huoke knew what was going on. This could only be considered an accident because the Fire Wolf clan's master recognition was somewhat different. As long as they bit the other party, the master recognition contract would automatically come into effect. Therefore, the Fire Wolf clan's clansmen had been warned from a young age not to randomly bite people, or else the consequences would be very troublesome. But now, it seemed that there was really trouble. This nephew of his was the future king of the Fire Wolf clan. Now that he had acknowledged a master, what would happen to the Fire Wolf clan in the future? The king's position of the Fire Wolf clan was not something that could be claimed by the capable. It was passed down through the bloodline. Hence, Little Wolf was born to be the king of the Fire Wolf clan. This was something that no one could change, even if it was out of line. Otherwise, the king of the Fire Wolf clan would not have become a mere decoration in the clan. Even so, the position of the royal bloodline was still as solid as Mount Tai. No wolf could replace it. This was also what made the Fire Wolf clan different from the rest. After the rules of the contract were over, the red wolf cub cried out. It didn't expect that it would become owned after just one bite of this human. It was the king of the Fire Wolves, and it didn't want its master to restrict it. Thinking of this, the little red wolf cried even more sadly. Seeing this, Leng Ruoxu could only look at it helplessly. After all, this matter was a little out of her expectations. Seeing that the little wolf was crying non-stop, she looked to Huoke for help. However, Huoke only put on a helpless expression. There was really nothing she could do about this matter. He didn't know how the clan members would react when they found out about this. After an unknown period of time, the red wolf cub's cries turned from loud to soft, and slowly, it only sobbed. However, it had no place to vent the grievances in its heart, and no one came to comfort it. Wu, thinking of this, it was ready to cry again. Suddenly, a familiar fragrance wafted into its nose. The wolf cub, who was about to cry, forced back his tears and looked around for the source of the fragrance. Seeing the delicious food on the table, the red wolf cub's eyes lit up and it immediately pounced towards the food. Its actions were extremely fast. Then, the wolf cub swept the food on the table like a storm. It even looked at the people and beasts present with a trace of vigilance in its black and bright eyes. At this moment, it couldn't care about crying. All their attention was on the food. They were all his. This food was all its, and no one was allowed to snatch it. Whoever snatches it will be bitten. The wolf cub secretly cursed in his heart. Leng Ruoxu was thoroughly convinced when she saw how familiar it was with its eating manner. As expected of father and son. Even the way he ate was exactly the same. Furthermore, the charm of the food to this little glutton was extraordinary. At the thought of this, Leng Ruoxu's playful gaze turned to Huoku. Seeing this, Huoku quickly turned her head away, too embarrassed to look her in the eye. At this time, the wolf cub had already swept the food on the table clean. It wiped its mouth with its small claws and patted its small belly. Then, it lay on the table with its 4 legs up. It was so full that it didn't want to move. Ignoring the little wolf's lazy appearance, Leng Ruoxu smiled at Huoku and said, "Huoka, let's talk about serious business." "All right." Huoku nodded. They had to talk about business, but how could they solve this? His nephew had unexpectedly acknowledged him as his master. How was he going to tell his sister when he returned? When it thought of its hot-tempered sister, its heart couldn't help but tremble. His sister would definitely fly into a rage, but this was really just an accident. Huoku felt a little embarrassed. She looked at Leng Ruoxu with a hint of sympathy in her eyes. My sister might take her anger out on this human. Sigh. How could this happen? Although Leng Ruoxu didn't know why Huoku was looking at her with sympathy, she knew it must be because of the little wolf's acknowledgement of its master. However, this wasn't her fault, so she would definitely not take the responsibility. If the mother wolf had any opinions, she could go find her naughty son. Speaking of which, she was also a victim. At the thought of this, Leng Ruoxu glanced at little wolf, who had finished eating and was ready to sleep. She then brought Huoku to the living room. As soon as they entered the living room, Huoku went straight to the point and told them the Fire Wolf clan's reply. Miss Leng, after our Fire Wolf clan's research, we agree to let you set up your territory in the evil demon land. However, it's useless if we agree alone. The other beast clans must also agree. Otherwise, you still can't set up your territory here. Otherwise, there will be trouble. Huoku said honestly. That day, when it returned, it showed the elders the pill that Leng Ruoxu had given it. When the more knowledgeable elders saw the pill, they were pleasantly surprised. Leng Ruoxu's status as an unlicensed alchemist could not stop their passion for pills. After all, an alchemist who could refine pills of such high quality was definitely not an ordinary person. Hence, Leng Ruoxu's unlicensed pill refining was naturally overlooked by them. In reality, this was even better. This way, not many people would know of Leng Ruoxu's abilities, and they would be able to avoid many competitors. After all, the value of an alchemist rose with the tide. They, beastie, couldn't afford to hire an alchemist of too high a status. Thank you for your reminder. I will think of a way to convince the other beasts. However, I still need you to help me introduce them to each other. Leng Ruoxu smiled in satisfaction. With the help of the wolf clan, she didn't have to waste her energy looking for the other beasts. Once she dealt with the troublesome wolf clan, she was confident that she could take down the other beasts. That's not a problem. The elders have already spread the news of you setting up a territory here. I believe that it won't be long before the other beast clans react. Moreover, the elders have arranged for them to gather in the clan in 2 days. At that time, you can attend and think of a way to convince them. Huoku told her about the Fire Wolf clan's arrangements. When Leng Ruoxu heard this, the smile on her face grew wider. The Fire Wolf clan was very tactful. Then, Leng Ruoxu asked Huoku about the main characteristics of the other beast clans, especially the personalities of those who had the right to speak. After that, Leng Ruoxu brought the group to the Fire Wolf clan's territory to get closer to them. When they arrived at the Fire Wolf clan's territory, Leng Ruoxu knew almost all of the fire wolves in their clan. However, the wolf's father's gaze when he looked at her became even more resentful. This left Leng Ruoxu puzzled no matter how much she thought about it. Chapter 1824, The Decision of the Fire Wolf Clan, 4. It was only after that Leng Ruoxu found out that the evildoer had thrown him into the stinky swamp. He had bathed for a few days, but his wife did not even allow him to take half a step closer to her. This had made him a resentful husband for a long time. However, after finding out about this, Leng Ruoxu did not pity him at all. Who asked him to be so smug back then? Leng Ruoxue and the rest stayed in the Fire Wolf clan's territory for almost 2 days. It was only on the morning of the 3rd day that the Fire Wolves came to inform them that the representatives of the Beast clans had arrived. When Leng Ruoxue heard this, she immediately brought the demon, Uncle Long, her godfather, and Fengde to the Fire Wolf clan's meeting hall. Although it was called a hall, it was actually just casually built from a few pieces of wood. The Fire Wolf clan did not have high requirements for their residence. Basically, a tree hole was enough to hide in. Those who were more particular would build a tree house on a tall tree, but there were no decorations in the house. It was unbelievably simple. Therefore, when her house was lit up, the Fire Wolves were stunned. Even though they had long heard that this human woman had a beautiful house, it was not as shocking as seeing it with their own eyes. In order to befriend them, Leng Ruoxue had even generously invited them to her house as guests. Many of the Fire Wolves saw that Leng Ruoxue was so easy to get along with, so they did not stand on ceremony and moved in directly. However, the mother of the wolf cub, the female wolf, looked at Leng Ruoxue with eyes filled with anger. Who asked her precious son to acknowledge this human as his master? Fortunately, it was a female wolf that knew how to look at the big picture. Moreover, Huoke had explained to it in detail that Leng Ruoxue had not done it on purpose. Therefore, even though it was angry, it did not make things difficult for Leng Ruoxue. When Leng Ruoxue saw this, she naturally didn't bother about its attitude. After all, anyone who encountered such a situation would be angry. After entering the main hall, Leng Ruoxue's beautiful eyes first scanned the beasts present. She saw that there was a wide variety of beasts in the hall, and their sizes were all different. The big ones were like small mountains, while the small ones were not even the size of a human's palm. Among these beasts, not only were there beautiful foxes and leopards, but there were also ugly giant rhinoceros, lizards, scorpions, and so on. It was likely that all the beasts in the land of demons had arrived. The beasties were also sizing her up with curiosity. When the Fire Wolf clan's Grand Elder saw Leng Ruoxue and the rest, he immediately invited them to take a seat. As for the beasts present, there was no need to be so particular. Some of them were lying down, some were sitting down, and some were squatting. Leng Ruoxue and the rest sat down, but before they could speak, some beastie asked impatiently. "Human, I heard you're an alchemist. If we let you set up your territory here, then the pills." The one who spoke was a pitch-black bear. It was almost 2 meters tall and had a huge body. Its voice was simple and honest. However, it only finished half of its sentence before it stared unblinkingly at Leng Ruoxue with its huge bear eyes. The other beasties did the same. Before they came here, the Fire Wolf clan had sent their wolf to inform them of the Fire Wolf clan's decision. The beasts were convinced of the Fire Wolf clan's intelligence. Therefore, the Fire Wolf clan's decision had made their minds active. Hence, when they first saw Leng Ruoxue, they were very friendly. However, they still had to ask him personally before they could be at ease. This was not because they did not trust the Fire Wolves, but because they were cautious by nature. After hearing the black bear's words, Leng Ruoxue smiled and promised, "Since I've decided to set up my territory in the land of evil demons, we're neighbors. If you need medicinal pills in the future, feel free to come to me. I can give you ordinary medicinal pills, but you'll have to prepare the materials for the better medicinal pills. I can help you refine them for free. How about it?" Leng Ruoxue had thought of these thoughts through her own experiences. The reason why she was so generous was because she was facing a group of beasties. If it was a human, she would not dare to be so arrogant. After all, many humans were greedy, while beasties were much more innocent. "Miss Leng, is what you're saying true?" When the Fire Wolf clan's first elder heard this, he beamed with joy. Previously, they had only thought that with an alchemist like Leng Ruoxue as their neighbor, it would be easier for them to need elixirs in the future. Hence, they had never thought of getting them without putting in any effort. However, now that Leng Ruoxue had said that she would give them the elixirs for free, even if she helped them refine them, it would be free. This was definitely a huge surprise to them. It seemed like they had made a wise decision. After seeing the satisfied smiles on the faces of the other beasts, the old wolf felt that the Fire Wolf clan was in luck. After all, they were the ones who had met Leng Ruoxue first. This was an advantage. Not only that, but their young master had also acknowledged Leng Ruoxue as his master. With this bond, their relationship with Leng Ruoxue was as solid as iron, and no one could think of breaking it. Previously, when it learned that the young master had accidentally recognized him as its master, it was still a little depressed. But now, it felt that this was a good thing. As such, the way it looked at Leng Ruoxue became gentler. Of course. I've always been friendly to Beastie. In the future, when you have the chance to see my Beastie, you'll know. Leng Ruoxue said with a faint smile. She had yet to reveal her beasts to them, and they were her trump cards. She had originally planned to use them when she could not deal with these beasts, but it seemed like she would not need to use them now. Ha ha ha. I believe that. The old Fire Wolf laughed out loud. The little fox had been living here for a few days and had been talking about the good things about its master in their ears every day. It had made their ears grow calluses from listening to it, so how could they not know about this? If any of you have any more questions, ask them now. At this moment, the old Fire Wolf said to the beasts. Following that, the beasts began to ask questions one after another while Leng Ruoxue patiently answered them one by one. Just like that, a day passed quickly. However, out of caution, they did not immediately give their own answers. Instead, they temporarily settled down in the Fire Wolf clan's territory. Chapter 1825, Master Recognition, 1. As soon as they settled down, the Fire Wolf clan's territory instantly became lively. In reality, the reason why they chose to stay here temporarily was because they hoped to spend more time with Leng Ruoxue and see her character. After all, they did not have a good impression of humans and were not too willing to live next to them. However, Leng Ruoxue's identity as an alchemist was too alluring, and they could not resist this temptation. In contrast, their attitude towards Leng Ruoxue was much better than other humans. This had a lot to do with Leng Ruoxue's unparalleled affinity. Leng Ruoxue had always been friendly to the beasts. In addition to her deliberate attempt to befriend them, the beasts found it hard to reject her. Hence, they had a great time in the Fire Wolf clan's territory. However, the beasts were not as friendly to others as they were to Leng Ruoxue. Even so, they were still better than strangers. Sitting in the garden of the house, the master of the Ning family looked gloomily at Uncle Long, who was sitting opposite him. He didn't say anything for a long time. His expression made Uncle Long feel uncomfortable all over. After a while, Uncle Long couldn't stand it anymore. I say, Ning family boy, if you have something to say, then say it. Why are you looking at me like that? You're going to scare me. Uncle Long sighed and said helplessly. I'm very depressed. The master of the Ning family said weakly. He had miscalculated. He had really miscalculated. Never in his dreams did he expect that things would develop like this. What was going on? The beasts clearly did not have any good feelings towards humans, but why were those beasts so warm towards that little Schwer? They were so passionate that it made people envious. This was really too abnormal. Basically, these past few days, there were always beasts who invited Schwer to bond with them, and every time they returned, Schwer would bring a large pile of gifts from the beasts. Although most of them were medicinal herbs and mineral materials, but he had to admit that there were some things that he was envious of. This shouldn't be the case, right? The more the master of the Ning family thought about it, the more incredulous he felt. This kind of thing seemed like a fantasy. It was fine if one group of beasts did it, but the strange thing was that almost every group of beasts did it. Did they not know that Schwer was a human? Or did they treat Schwer as one of their own? Master Ning was a little confused. Actually, he was overthinking it. If Leng Ruoxue knew what he was thinking, she would definitely tell him that she and the beasts were just returning the favor. Furthermore, the beasts were completely trying to get on her good side, and both sides were on equal footing when they interacted. This was also the main reason why the beasts liked to befriend her. It was because she respected those beasts and would not look down on them. Even if the other party was a very weak beast, she would still treat them the same way. I know. Hearing the words of the master of the Ning family, Uncle Long nodded, but he couldn't stop sighing in his heart. The Ning family's boy's depression was written all over his face. If he still couldn't see it, then his eyes were too bad. Don't beastie hate humans? The master of the Ning family looked at Uncle Long with a sad face, his handsome face full of confusion. It's very annoying. At least, there aren't many people who can get along with the beasts like this little girl. However, this little girl is very approachable, so it's only natural that the beasts like her. Uncle Long understood. Leng Ruoxue had never disdained any beast, and she was also an alchemist. It would be strange if those beasts did not like her. Then what should I do? The master of the Ning family wanted to cry but had no tears. What do you mean? Uncle Long frowned, his face full of question marks. What if those beasts agree with Shui to set her territory here? The master of the Ning family couldn't help but growl angrily when he saw that Uncle Long was playing dumb. Then you should just agree. If all of the beasts agree to let Shui make this her territory, then your worries will naturally disappear. What's there to worry about? Besides, you've seen how they get along with each other, so you should be even more at ease. Uncle Long said with a faint smile. He was very relieved now. But in this situation, there are wolves in front and tigers behind. How can I truly be at ease? Master Ning was still afraid that Leng Ruoxue was here. If something happened and he couldn't come to her rescue in time, wouldn't she blame him to death? Shui is not a child anymore. Instead of worrying about her so much, why don't you worry about your own descendants? I feel that there are many people in your Ning family who are more worrying than Shui. Uncle Long reminded. They're not kids. If you can't even protect your own life, then there's no need to live in this world. The moment Master Ning heard Uncle Long mention his descendants, he immediately became cold-blooded again. In fact, he had always been like this. It was only when he was facing Leng Ruoxue that he became indecisive and worried. Ha ha ha. You're so biased, but it's true. If your own descendants don't live up to expectations, who can you blame? Uncle Long smiled and nodded. Although he didn't have any descendants, he had basically watched the younger generation of the Endless Ocean grow up. Therefore, they were similar to his descendants. However, he was the same as the Ning family's boy. He didn't pay too much attention to them. Otherwise, he would worry about them all the time and they would never be able to grow up. In fact, he was only slightly better to Leng Ruoxue, but he didn't interfere with her decisions too much. The Ning family's boy was obviously different. The Ning family brat treated the little girl as a baby who had not been weaned off milk. He wanted to do everything for her, but Shui was an independent child, so the Ning family brat had no use at all. It was also in this comparison that many of the Ning family's clansmen were even more useless. Therefore, as the master of the Ning family, he looked down on his own clansmen more and more. Sigh. If he and the Ning family's boys' positions were switched, he would probably have the same thought, because he understood the heart of someone who hated iron for not meeting steel. That's right, I'm not their nanny. If I don't want to work hard, how can I follow them all the time? I'm not that bored. The master of the Ning family seemed to have found a soulmate and said in deep agreement. You don't keep an eye on them, so you have your eyes on the little girl? Uncle Long said with a helpless smile. Shui is a girl. Of course, girls are meant to be pampered. Master Ning said matter-of-factly. As far as I know, the Ning family has a lot of girls, right? You'll be in even more pain when you're back. Uncle Long teased. TSK. They're waiting for me to be in pain, so I have to be in pain. I will only love those that I truly want to love, and as for those Ning family clansmen, if I really show a little interest in anyone, they will immediately raise their tails, do you believe it? The master of the Ning family asked. I do. Uncle Long said. Although he wanted to say that it was normal, he would not like a junior like that. Brother Long. Give me an idea, if these beasts all agree to Shuai's territory being set up here, what should we do? As he spoke, the master of the Ning family returned to the topic of running away and looked at Uncle Long with anticipation. Chapter 1826, Master Recognition, 2, Didn't I say that you would agree to it? What else can we do? Uncle Long was a little speechless. Why was the Ning family's boy's memory so bad? But the problem is, I don't want to agree. The master of the Ning family said honestly. You think that's possible? Uncle Long raised his eyebrows and asked the master of the Ning family. I know it's impossible, that's why I'm asking you. The master of the Ning family reminded. Ning family's boy, to be honest, the current situation is very good, and the beasts here welcome Shuai, so your previous concerns are no longer a problem. In that case, what's there to object to? Uncle Long really couldn't understand, because he knew very well that no one could easily change Shuai's mind once she had decided on something, and the Ning family's boy was no exception. It's not that I'm afraid, the master of the Ning family had just said a few words when he was interrupted by Uncle Long again. The little girl always says, since we're here, we should take things as they come. There's no need for you to worry about this now. Besides, you should believe in her ability. That little girl isn't that easy to bully. Besides, aren't I still here? Uncle Long rushed to say. It's easy to dodge an open spear, but hard to defend against an arrow shot from the dark. We're in the light while the enemy is in the dark. Who knows what the other party will do? The master of the Ning family said disapprovingly. Then, he had an idea and said, by the way, none of the beasts here have recognized Shuai as their master yet, so she hasn't fulfilled my conditions yet, ha. I can openly oppose this. It was really chaotic to be concerned. How could he have forgotten the reason for the crown? After being depressed for a few days, the master of the Ning family blamed himself. Hearing the master of the Ning family's words, Uncle Long couldn't help but look at him with sympathy. AI. What could he say? If this condition could really be a reason to stop Shuai from setting up her territory here, then he would not have let the Ning family kid agree to this. Because in his eyes, this was nothing. Based on Leng Ruox's interactions with the beasts these few days, he was very sure that as long as the little girl revealed this thought, the beasts that did not want the little girl to leave because of this resistance might automatically recognize her as their master. At that time, the Ning family's brat would not be able to do anything at all. Instead of doing that, it would be better to agree to it as soon as possible. However, Master Ning was not as open-minded as he was. It's decided then. I'll use this condition to stop her. The master of the Ning family didn't notice Uncle Long's sympathy for him and said to himself. Good luck then. Uncle Long sighed helplessly. Since the Ning family's boy wouldn't turn back until he hit the south wall, then he could only watch this old boy's head break and bleed without any sense of loyalty. Uncle Long thought to himself with evil intentions. The master of the Ning family, who thought he had thought of a good reason, was in a good mood and even started to hum a song. Looking at the master of the Ning family's smug face, Uncle Long tactfully shut his mouth. Then, the two of them started to stare at each other. Just as the two of them were silent, Grape's voice suddenly entered their ears. Stop following me. If you do, I'll tell on you to your wife. Grape's tone was very fiery, showing her depressed mood at the moment. I'm hungry. I'm hungry too. Two pitiful voices were heard almost at the same time. The master of the Ning family and Uncle Long looked in the direction of the sound curiously. Grape, what's wrong? The master of the Ning family asked, pretending to be puzzled. Didn't they just finish eating? Why was this pair of gluttons hungry again? The two hungry voices belonged to the Fire Wolf father and son duo. They said they were hungry and kept pestering me to get them food. Grape walked to Master Ning and Uncle Long's side and said gloomily, damn it. It had only been less than an hour since they had eaten, and the pair of foodies were hungry again. Furthermore, they had eaten the most during the meal just now. I really don't know why they like to be hungry so much. She was helpless. Moreover, ever since they had eaten the food she had cooked, this father and son pair had been pestering her, always asking her to make food for them, which made her extremely annoyed. Especially that damn little fire wolf. It used to despise her cooking skills, but after knowing that the dinner of these people was made by him and Lotus Seed, and that its miss rarely cooked, it unwillingly stuck to her. However, what she couldn't understand was why the father and son only looked for her for food and not the lotus seeds. In fact, it wasn't without reason that this father and son pair had targeted her. In their eyes, although the grapes looked fierce on the outside, they were kind on the inside and easy to talk to. On the other hand, although Lotus Seed looked rather peaceful, she was not as easy to get along with as the grapes. As for Len Ruoxue, they did not dare to pester her to get them food. So, they naturally pestered the grapes. Didn't you just eat? Why are you hungry again? Master Ning was speechless. How much could this father and son eat? It was reasonable to say that cultivators would not get hungry so easily. Furthermore, Shuer and the rest basically ate 3 meals a day. This was the eating habit of ordinary people. For gods, they didn't need to eat so frequently, but this father and son were obviously unusual. Yes, I'm hungry again. The little red wolf nodded its little head in all seriousness. Then, it pouted its little mouth in grievance. Its dark round eyes were glistening with tears, as if it was about to cry again. Don't cry. I'll beat you up if you dare to cry. Seeing this, Grape quickly threatened. The wolf cub had no choice but to hold back its tears and look at Grape pitifully. Your young lattice beastie, you can't be so fierce to me. The wolf cub mustered up his courage and reminded. Mmh. My son is right, the father of your little miss and beastie, you can't be so fierce to us. Father Wolf also added. After saying that, his bright black eyes looked at the grapes expectantly, as if saying, hurry up and make me something to eat. Listening to their shameless words, Grape's face turned from white to green, and then to black. Then, she roared, fuck your little Miss Beastie and little Miss Beastie's father. Also Miss Maidservant. Don't try to show nepotism in front of me. Telling you, Miss doesn't like this. Hurry up and disappear from my sight. Otherwise, I'll go to your mother and your wife to tell on you. The Grape threatened angrily. If it wasn't for the fact that she couldn't beat this crazy old fire wolf, she would have beaten it up. It was really too infuriating. What the hell is this? A good beastie has learned to be bad, really the upper beam is not right, the lower beam is crooked. This wolf father and son duo were not normal at all. Mom can't let me go hungry either. The little red wolf lowered its head in fear, but it still muttered fearlessly. Mmh. That's right. My wife can't stop me from eating. Father Wolf continued to echo. Chapter 1827, Master Recognition, 3, Damn it. I can't take it anymore. Grape was furious. She really wanted to curse. But the next second, she strode out of the garden full of resentment. As she walked, she consoled herself, calm down. He had to be calm. He couldn't be angered by this father and son, or he would become a joke. Watching Grape's back, Master Ning and Uncle Long looked at each other and laughed out loud. Ha ha ha. The two of them laughed so hard that they were on the verge of tears. This was really too funny. Grandpas, what are you laughing at? Seeing the Ning family head and Uncle Long laughing so happily, the little fire wolf asked with a puzzled face, and a trace of shyness appeared on his face. It couldn't afford to offend these two old grandpas, so it had always been obedient and cute in front of them. I'm laughing at you guys. You guys are so cute. The master of the Ning family said happily. Hee hee. Thank you for your praise, Grandpa Ning. The little red wolf said a little embarrassedly. After saying that, it even lowered its head shyly. Ah. Hearing the little wolf's words, Master Ning's forehead was full of black lines. He knew that this little guy couldn't be praised. Once he was praised, he would get carried away. Moreover, what he said just now wasn't a compliment, was it? Seeing through Master Ning's thoughts, Uncle Long lowered his head and chuckled. Suddenly, a deafening roar was heard. Damn it, you're here to embarrass me again? With that, a red lightning appeared in the garden. Needless to say, the mother wolf was here to catch the wolf. Wah! I'm here, I'm so scared. The little red wolf jumped into the arms of the master of the Ning family exaggeratedly, seeking protection. Father wolf also wanted to hide, but his body was too big. Before he could escape, he was caught by his wife. The fierce female wolf grabbed the huge fire wolf's ear like a wolf and roared, "You glutton! You only know how to embarrass yourself. Let's go. Come home with me and I'll discipline you." After she finished speaking, the relatively petite female wolf very valiantly dragged the pitiful, but not angry, and not daring to speak, huge fire wolf out of the house. As for the little wolf, it was ignored by the female wolf. Anyway, the little guy had already recognized its master, and as its mother, it could not care too much. After they left, the master of the Ning family couldn't help but ask curiously, "Little fellow, what is your family's discipline?" He didn't expect wolves to have family laws. This was really unheard of. Mom said that gossiping is not a good child. The wolf cub stared at him with its round black eyes and said very seriously, "Ah." Hearing this, the master of the Ning family couldn't help but pull a long face. He was speechless, but Uncle Long couldn't help but laugh even more happily. Ha ha ha. Uncle Long laughed without restraint. Looking at these energetic and cute little guys every day, he felt a lot younger. "Uncle Long, why are you smiling so happily?" At this moment, Leng Ruoxue walked into the garden with the demon. When she heard the laughter coming from the garden, she could not help but ask. "Shuer, you're too late. Didn't you see a good show of a fierce wife disciplining her husband?" Uncle Long said with a smile. "What fierce wife scolding husband?" Leng Ruoxue was confused. However, as soon as she finished speaking, she heard a series of painful wails accompanied by moans coming into the house. Leng Ruoxue's face darkened. When did the sound insulation of this house become so bad? Even the sounds from outside could be heard. It's my mother who's punishing father. AI. Poor father. I'm afraid I won't be able to get out of bed for a long time again. The little wolf said faintly, but its words were particularly intoxicating, making people's imagination run wild. Seeing this, Leng Ruoxue couldn't help but sigh. Children these days were really mature. The truth was just as the wolf cub had said. The wolf cub's father had not appeared in front of the public for quite a while. In the words of the female wolf, her husband was tired and resting. Upon hearing this, Leng Ruoxue came to a conclusion. Like mother, like son, this was really not a family, not one family. The wolf cub's father had been punished by his wife and was unable to appear in front of the crowd. The only one pestering the grape for food was the wolf cub. However, the wolf cub's words carried little weight and it couldn't cause any big waves on its own. Thus, the grape often ignored its existence. Whenever the wolf cub complained to its master that the grapes were abusing children and not giving it food, Leng Ruoxue would give the wolf cub a good spanking. The wolf cub was her beastie now anyway. She restrained her beastie and no one could say anything. However, the wolf cub was a typical example of someone who only remembered to eat but not to be beaten. Even though it said that it would remember every time it was beaten, it would return to its old ways once it encountered food and forget what it had said. As time passed, Leng Ruoxue was too lazy to pay attention to it, and the grape naturally ignored it even more. Time passed. In the blink of an eye, he had already stayed in the Fire Wolf clan's territory for nearly half a month. In this half a month, Leng Ruoxue's relationship with the magical beasts had improved by leaps and bounds. In this period of time, there were even more magical beasts who expressed their welcome to Leng Ruoxue, saying that they welcomed her to settle down here. On the last day of the deadline that Godfather had given, all the magical beasts in the land of demons had agreed to let Leng Ruoxue set up her territory here. This situation was within Leng Ruoxue's expectations. However, only the master of the Ning family was not very happy to hear this news. On the evening of the last day of the deadline, the master of the Ning family called Leng Ruoxue to the living room and looked at her with a serious face. Shuai. Today is the last day. I know, Godfather. All the beasts in the land of evil demons have agreed for me to set up my territory here, so you won't object to it, right? Leng Ruoxue said with a light smile. Her expression was extremely relaxed. Shuai. Back then, the condition we agreed on was that they had to acknowledge you as their master, even if it was only one branch of the beast clan. But now, it seems that other than that little wolf, no other beast has acknowledged you as their master. So, you have not fulfilled my request. The master of the Ning family laughed evilly, a cunning look in his eyes. However, would Leng Ruoxue let him do as he wished? Godfather. Why don't you tell me this tomorrow? If you don't agree because the beasts don't recognize you as their master, then you can tell me about this tomorrow. According to our original agreement, you'll lose tomorrow. Leng Ruoxue said calmly. There was not a single trace of panic on her beautiful face. I'm your godfather, how can I be so unrefined? Moreover, today is the last day, so I naturally have to remind you. Otherwise, if I tell you tomorrow, you'll blame me for it. The master of the Ning family said righteously. In fact, the reason why he chose to say it tonight was because he didn't believe that this little girl could make a beast clan recognize her as its master in one night. Chapter 1828, Master Recognition, 4, Then, thank you for your reminder, Godfather. Leng Ruoxue laughed. She then called Fengde in and instructed him, Fengde, go and tell the beasts in the land of demons that I can't set up my territory here because none of the beasts have recognized me as their master. This is the basic requirement for Godfather to allow me to set up my territory here. Yes. Miss. Fengde replied, then turned around and left with a snicker. Little girl Shuai, have you thought it through? Leng Ruoxue's words made Master Ning laugh to himself. He was indeed smart. This time, Shuai had no other way. This result made him even more smug. Leng Ruoxue nodded, not saying a word. After a while, Fengde came back. Miss, the representatives of the beast clans want to see you. Fengde reported. Oh. Are you done with them? Leng Ruoxue asked despite knowing the answer. I'm done. After they heard it, they were a little agitated, so they strongly requested to see you. Fengde laughed in his heart. Then let them in. Leng Ruoxue nodded. Then, Fengde left the living room. When he reappeared, he was followed by a group of orcs. These orcs were the representatives of the orcs in the land of demons, and they all had a lot of power. Miss Leng. We've already agreed to let you set up your territory here, so how can you leave? What are we going to do if you leave? The black bear was the one who spoke like a resentful husband. After saying these words, its huge bear face was filled with a trace of hidden bitterness. Woo! After spending time with Leng Ruoxue, they had already fallen in love with this human. On top of that, she was also an alchemist. Hence, they did not want her to leave even more. On the way here, they had secretly communicated with each other. Everyone had expressed that they would spare no effort to make Leng Ruoxue stay. This was also for their common interests. Therefore, this matter had to be done. I don't want to leave either, but I made an agreement with Godfather. If I make this place my territory, I have to take in a beast clan here for my own use. Otherwise, it's my loss. Leng Ruoxue said helplessly. Miss Leng, do you mean that as long as there's a beast clan that acknowledges you as their master, you can stay here? The black bear asked again. At this time, it seemed to have become the spokesperson of all the beasts. Yes, this is Godfather's request. Otherwise, even if you don't object, Godfather won't admit it. Leng Ruoxue said, feeling wronged. Her words made Master Ning feel as if he was sitting on pins and needles. Shuai, didn't we agree on this before? Why am I the one who doesn't acknowledge my debt? the master of the Ning family said with a face full of hidden bitterness. Woo. He also felt wronged, okay. That's right, we had an agreement back then. Leng Ruoxua nodded her head in comfort. At this time, the black bear asked again, Miss Leng, do you have any requirements for ORCC's race? There's no requirement for this. Leng Ruoxua looked at her godfather and chuckled. Then it's easy. At most, we'll arrange for a beast clan to recognize you as their master. When the black bear heard Leng Ruoxua's words, he immediately beamed with joy. This isn't very good, is it? I don't want to force you. Leng Ruoxua pretended to hesitate, but she could not help but laugh in her heart. This time, Godfather had no other way. In fact, after hearing the fat black bear's words, the master of the Ning family was indeed a little dumbfounded. How was this possible? How could such a thing happen? If he hadn't seen it with his own eyes, he would never have believed that such a situation really existed. This was truly too strange. He was even more depressed. I won't force you. We've already discussed it. Furthermore, it's absolutely voluntary. The black bear promised. In reality, when they were discussing which beast clan to acknowledge as their master, they almost started fighting. It wasn't because they didn't want to acknowledge Leng Ruoxua as their master, but because the number of beast clans who wanted to acknowledge her as their master was simply too many. If it wasn't because they felt that Leng Ruoxua might not be able to take on so many of them, they wouldn't have fought so hard over a single slot and almost started fighting. Done discussing? Then which of your beast tribes will recognize me as their master? Leng Ruoxua asked curiously. It's the Silver Rat clan, the black bear said with some embarrassment. Among all the beast clans in the land of demons, the Silver Rat clan was the weakest, but at the same time, they were also the clan with the largest number of people. Moreover, although their strength was low, their ability to gather information was first class. As for why the Silver Rat clan had fought for this quota, it was not necessary to explain to outsiders. In short, it was difficult to explain in a few words. The black bear's answer surprised Leng Ruoxua. She had never thought that she would have a rat as her beast. However, it was fortunate that this Silver Rat clan was different from the rats that caused harm everywhere in her previous life. In reality, the silver rats in the divine world were extremely beautiful. They had a body full of silvery white fur and shone with an enchanting radiance. Furthermore, they were only the size of an infant's fist and looked extremely small and cute. The only flaw was that their strength was too low, even if they were the king of silver rats. The highest of them only had the strength of a 5th-ranked sacred beast. As for the ordinary silver rats, most of them were not even divine beasts. It was not that they could not continue to advance, but it was extremely difficult for silver rats to cultivate, so advancing to the next rank had naturally become an extravagant hope. Master. After Leng Ruoxua listened to the black bear's words, she didn't say anything for a long time. The Silver Rat King thought that Leng Ruoxua was not satisfied with its strength, so it let out a soft cry of grievance and timidness. A layer of mist appeared in its pair of black pearl-like eyes, and it peeked at Leng Ruoxua pitifully. Yes, let's do it. Leng Ruoxua came back to her senses and said helplessly as she looked at the Silver Rat King's pitiful little face. Yes. Master. When the Silver Rat King heard this, it happily jumped onto Leng Ruoxua's shoulder. Following that, the contract's rules appeared and enveloped the man and the rat within it. After the rules disappeared, the Silver Rat King became Leng Ruoxua's beast. As the king of a clan, it had a contract with its own clan. Thus, the entire Silver Rat clan naturally became Leng Ruoxua's. Chapter 1829, Gathered at Imperial City, 1. After the master recognition ceremony ended, all the beasts looked at the Silver Rat King with envy. The Silver Rat King shyly jumped onto Leng Ruoxua's shoulder. When the master of the Ning family saw this scene, the depression in his heart could not be described with words. He couldn't understand why it was like this. He had thought that victory was in his grasp, but who knew that things would take a turn for the better? Now, even if he wanted to object to Shui setting up a territory here, he had no reasonable reason to do so. Sob. At the thought of this, the master of the Ning family looked at Leng Ruoxue with more resentment. Leng Ruoxue caught a glimpse of her godfather's gaze and felt helpless. She knew that her godfather was definitely unwilling, but it was a pity that things had already come to this. It was useless no matter how unwilling he was. She laughed in her heart. Godfather. I've already fulfilled your request. Leng Ruoxue smiled as she reminded him. Yes. Yes, Master Ning responded unhappily, and then turned his head angrily, not looking at the slightly smug little girl. It was really infuriating. He thought to himself indignantly, if other people wanted to take in a beastie, they would have to spend a lot of effort. But this girl wanted to take in a beastie, and a beastie just had to come to her door on its own. This is really infuriating. He was a little envious and jealous. Godfather, this time you won't object to me setting up the territory here, right? Leng Ruoxue asked despite knowing the answer. You bad girl, what's the point of me objecting? The master of the Ning family glared at him and roared. Of course it's useless, because I've already done what you asked. Leng Ruoxue said with a smile. Then why are you still asking me? The master of the Ning family was furious and shouted at the top of his voice. I just wanted to remind you, in case you renege on your debt. Leng Ruoxue said, feeling a little wronged. However, she was secretly laughing in her heart. Don't worry. I won't renege on my debt. Master Ning's face was livid. After he finished speaking, he flicked his sleeves and left. Godfather. Leng Ruoxue looked at her godfather's back and called out softly. However, Master Ning was so angry that he didn't even look back and left the living room. AI. Seeing this, Leng Ruoxue sighed helplessly. Godfather was like a child at times, he needed to be coaxed. Following that, Leng Ruoxue turned her gaze towards the spiritual beasts in the house. After expressing her gratitude for their arrival and cooperation, Leng Ruoxue let Fengde send them back. Since the Silver Rat King had become her spiritual beast, it naturally stayed behind. As she looked at the beautiful and petite Silver Rat King, Leng Ruoxue's gaze became gentler. She asked curiously, Silver Rat King, how many members does your Silver Rat clan have? Master, our Silver Rat clan prospers very quickly, and there are at least tens of thousands of clansmen. However, it's a bit difficult for us to cultivate, so the strength of our clansmen isn't very high. The Silver Rat King spoke the truth. As it spoke, it even lowered its little head, as if it was afraid that Leng Ruoxue would despise its people. Oh. Do you have any skills? Leng Ruoxue asked again. There is. We silver rats have many eyes and ears, so it's hard to hide anything that happens in the land of evil demons from us. Speaking of the Silver Rat clan's special skill, the Silver Rat King raised its head and puffed out its chest as it looked at Leng Ruoxue with pride on its little face. When Leng Ruoxue heard the Silver Rat King's words, she was a little surprised. She didn't expect the Silver Rat clan to have the potential to be spies. However, she was quite interested in this ability. Silver Rat King, since your people have such abilities, then let them be in charge of the intelligence-gathering work in the evil demon land. If any strangers come to the land of demons, tell them to keep a close eye on them and report to me if anything happens. Leng Ruoxue thought for a moment and ordered. Yes, sir. The Silver Rat King raised one of its small claws, half raising it above its head, as if it had accepted an extremely glorious mission, and said in an unusually serious manner. Master. I have a situation report right now, I wonder if you want to hear it? Then, the Silver Rat King asked in a low voice with a mysterious expression. What's the situation? Leng Ruoxue was very surprised. She had just finished speaking and this little fellow already had something to report. Wasn't this speed a little too fast? It's about the situation of the beasts in the land of the demons. The Silver Rat King said truthfully. What? Leng Ruoxue's beautiful face was filled with question marks. Master. It's like this, we silver rats have lived in the land of evil demons for many years, so we're very familiar with the beasts here. We also know some of their gossip, which is also a secret that many beasts don't want people to know. However, you're my master, so I don't think I should hide anything from you. The Silver Rat King explained. Ah! The Silver Rat King's words made Ling Ruoxia's forehead fill with black lines. So this little fellow wanted to tell her the gossip about the beasts in the land of demons. She had thought that he had some important news. Master! Aren't you interested in these things? The Silver Rat King did not sense Ling Ruoxia's excitement, so it asked in a very small manner. Little Silver Mouse, tell me first. If I know this, what use would it be to me? Ling Ruoxia gently stroked the Silver Rat King's little head and asked in a speechless manner. Master! It's very useful. The Silver Rat King nodded with great effort. What's the use of them? Ling Ruoxia's curiosity was piqued. Master, if the beasts in the land of demons make you angry, or if they don't listen, you can use this to threaten them. It's very effective. Hee hee. I can become Master's beastie, but no beastie will fight with me for my master because I know their gossip. They are afraid that I will tell others about their embarrassing things, so they don't dare to fight with me for my master. The Silver Rat King said with pride. Ah! The Silver Rat King's words made Ling Ruoxia speechless once again. She never thought that the inside story of the Silver Rat clan acknowledging a master was actually because they were afraid that her scandal would be exposed. However, this Silver Rat King was quite smart and knew how to make use of its own advantages. Otherwise, it wouldn't have become her beastie. Master! Our Silver Rat clan is very weak, and there are too many magical beasts who want to recognize a master as their master. Thus, I had no choice but to use this plan. The Silver Rat King was afraid that its master would misunderstand it as a despicable little mouse, so it quickly explained. It's okay. As the saying goes, all is fair in war. You're very smart to think of using your own advantages to achieve your goal. Ling Ruoxia praised. Master! You don't blame me? The Silver Rat King asked with uncertainty. I don't blame you. You're already my beastie, why would I blame you? Ling Ruoxia said with a faint smile. She then urged, Little Silver Mouse, from now on, the safety of our territory will be in the hands of your people. No problem. Master has handed the safety of the territory to us. You can rest assured. The Silver Rat King promised. Yes, let's go. I'll bring you to meet our own people, said Ling Ruoxia. With that, she left the hall with the Silver Rat King. Chapter 1830, Gathered at Imperial City, 2. After introducing Feng De and the others to the Silver Rat King once again, Ling Ruoxia brought the Silver Rat King into the bracelet. She wanted to introduce Qing Ju to it, but the moment the Silver Rat King entered the bracelet, it was completely dumbfounded. The Silver Rat King's eyes were wide open as it looked at the scene in front of it in disbelief. It even rubbed its eyes with its small claws to confirm that it was not seeing things. Where was this? The spiritual qi here was so dense that it felt so comfortable that it wanted to roll on the ground. The next second, the Silver Rat King saw a white and chubby little baby appear in front of it, looking down at it. Hello. The Silver Rat King stammered as it recovered from its shock. Its beastly instincts allowed it to clearly understand how powerful this little baby was. At the very least, this little baby wasn't someone it could afford to offend. It had to be said that Beastie's senses were very sharp. As the weapon spirit of the universal bracelet, other than Ling Ruoxia, all the humans and beasts that entered the bracelet would be restricted by him, the head butler. This was the right of the weapon spirit. He was the owner of the bracelet, and his owner was Ling Ruoxia. Little Rat, Qing Ju, the chief butler of this place. If you need anything in the future, just come and find me. As for our master, who is my sister, it's best not to bother her unless it's something important. Her fiancé is very fierce. If you pester my sister and he finds out, you'll have to bear the consequences. Qing Ju reminded her with an evil smile. When Leng Ruoxue heard Qing Ju's words, the corners of her mouth twitched. She did not know why Qing Ju was trying to ruin the reputation of a demon. Oh! I got it. After the Silver Rat King heard Qing Ju's words, it looked at him gratefully and couldn't help but sigh in its heart. This is a good man. Then, Qing Ju took the initiative to show the obedient Silver Rat King around the space. He also told it in detail where it could go and where it could not go. After walking around, the Silver Rat King had a general understanding of this place. The more it understood, the more it felt fortunate. It was fortunate that it had snatched this spot to recognize its master. Otherwise, how could it have entered such a beautiful place? It was very satisfied with this place. Furthermore, this place was very beneficial for its cultivation. Thinking of this, the Silver Rat King could not help but grin foolishly. Qing Ju looked at the Silver Rat King's silly appearance, not surprised at all. With a thought, he left it in the garden and went back to his work. At the same time, the depressed master of the Ning family ran to Uncle Long's room and complained to him. Uncle Long frowned as he listened to Master Ning's endless complaints, but as he listened, he actually felt like sleeping. Seeing his eyelids droop down, Master Ning roared in his ear angrily, "Old whale! You're drooling." "Ah! Where was it? Ning family boy, you dare to lie to me?" Uncle Long, who was half awake, wiped the corner of his mouth subconsciously when he heard Master Ning's words, only to find that he had been fooled, which made him angry. Damn it! It was clearly the Ning family's boy who pulled him and complained non-stop. It wasn't his fault that he was tired from listening, so why did he lie to him? You fell asleep. Master Ning's eyes were wide open, and his anger was surging. You've said the same thing several times. It would be strange if I didn't fall asleep. Uncle Long said helplessly. I just wanted to find someone to chat with. I'm panicking. The master of the Ning family said with an aggrieved face after hearing Uncle Long's words. What's the big deal? Really, Uncle Long was speechless. Was such a trivial matter worth him acting like this? I didn't expect things to take a turn. I was going to win. The master of the Ning family said unwillingly. Ning family boy, if I say that you can't win at all, would you believe me? After staring at the master of the Ning family for a long time, Uncle Long sighed and said with a little sympathy. Of course I don't believe it. The master of the Ning family said, unconvinced. AI. Concern is a mess. In fact, the little girl is not as weak as you think. Don't forget, she was the one who saved you from the secret realm. If she hadn't gone, you would probably still be trapped in there. Since she has that ability, why are you still worrying for nothing? Even her own grandfather and brother aren't as naggy as you. Uncle Long couldn't take it anymore. What do you know? How do you know that they're not like this in private? The master of the Ning family couldn't help but shout again. I saw it with my own eyes. They are not like you. In fact, they trust the little girl a lot. You're always worried about this, what's there to worry about? If you ask me, you should just find a rope and tie this little girl to your side. Uncle Long suggested. You're trying to anger me to death, aren't you? Uncle Long's words made Master Ning even angrier. Humph. He wanted to tie Shuai to his side, but would that little girl do it? Good advice is unpleasant to the ear. Whether you listen to me or not, I have to remind you that it's time to send someone to the Divine Master's estate to file the case for the little girl's territory. Otherwise, the little girl and the others won't be able to participate in the elite competition. Uncle Long reminded him. He was afraid that the Ning family's kid would get angry and forget about the important matter. After all, the elite gathering was going to start in half a month. I know. I've already sent people over. The master of the Ning family said gloomily. Although he felt aggrieved, he would not go back on his promise to Shuai. So, after the matter of the territory was settled, he had already sent people to the Divine Master's estate to file the case for Shuai's territory. Since you've already sent people, why are you still so depressed? Uncle Long didn't understand him. This old man was just looking for trouble. Can't I find someone to vent my anger on? Master Ning's eyes widened and he said fiercely. All right. How can it not work? But, my ears are getting calluses from listening to it. Why don't you go and complain to someone else? Uncle Long suggested. No. I can't find anyone else other than you. The master of the Ning family said shamelessly. So you're still clinging to me? Uncle Long was a little speechless. The boy from the Ning family had lived for a long time, but he was still like a child when he was willful. To be honest, even the little girl was more sensible than him. That's right. It'll be depending on you. The master of the Ning family smiled a little wretchedly. In fact, he mainly thought that Uncle Long was older than him, so it wouldn't be too embarrassing to complain to him. If he really listened to Uncle Long and complained to others, how could he face others in the future? You brat, you've got guts. Let's go, I'll have a one-on-one fight with you. Uncle Long was furious, and the consequences were severe. Then, Uncle Long grabbed the collar of the master of the Ning family and dragged him out of his house. As for the location of their one-on-one fight, no one knew. However, after the fight, the obvious blue and purple scar on Master Ning's face had left a deep impression on everyone because the scar on Master Ning's face had been there for a long time. Chapter 1831, Gathered at Imperial City, 3. Although many people were puzzled as to why the master of the Ning family didn't give them healing pills, no one was too embarrassed to ask because of his status. In the end, it was the Silver Rat King who cleared their doubts, because Uncle Long had said that he would let the master of the Ning family remember this profound lesson, so he was not allowed to eat healing pills and had to let the wound on his face heal by itself. If the master of the Ning family dared to disobey his orders, he would bear the consequences. As for what he meant by conceited, everyone guessed that he meant that he would be beaten up even more severely. After learning about this, everyone felt 120,000 points of sympathy for the Ning family's master, and even their attitude towards him was much better than before. This change made the Ning family's master depressed for a while. As for Uncle Long, after beating up the master of the Ning family, he felt that the old man had become more honest, so he didn't bother him anymore. Therefore, he was happy every day. A week later, the person the master of the Ning family had sent to the divine master's residence to put Leng Ruoxu's territory on record had returned. After passing the proof of ownership to Leng Ruoxu started to build a place for them to stay. However, they were about to head to the elite gathering, so they only selected a location and built the rough framework of the house. Leng Ruoxu's territory was the mountain that she had chosen previously. That mountain was the tallest one in the land of evil demons. It covered a large area and there were only 2 very small beast clans living on that mountain. They had also become Leng Ruoxu's neighbors. The main body of the house built this time was still designed according to the design of their home in the water margin continent. This was mainly to satisfy his grandfather's homesickness. In addition, 2 courtyards were built next to the main residence, one on the left and one on the right to guard the main residence. This was also the request of the Ning family's master, because he would come to live here from time to time, and the courtyards were prepared for his subordinates and visiting guests to live in. After the frame of the house was completed, the beasts in the land of demons took the initiative to take on the remaining construction work. Although they were not very particular about their own residence, they attached great importance to where Leng Ruoxu would be staying in the future. After Leng Ruoxu handed them the drawing of the house, she left the land of demons with Master Ning and the rest. It was less than a week before the elite competition. Leng Ruoxu and the rest traveled day and night and finally arrived at Yu City the day before the competition. The moment they entered the Imperial City, Leng Ruoxu's first thought was that there were too many people. It was not an exaggeration to describe the streets as packed with people. At this moment, Leng Ruoxu and the others were not in disguise. Hence, their group attracted countless gazes. However, most of them were stunned and jealous. There were also many people who revealed friendly smiles towards them. Secondly, the Imperial City was very large and prosperous. There were many shops on the streets, and each shop was luxuriously decorated. The major guilds in the imperial city were also very rich and magnificent from the outside. In short, everything in the imperial city matched the supreme status of the divine master's estate. Not long after they entered the imperial city, the elder of the Ning family, who had come here first to take care of everything, appeared in front of them with a smile. "Clan head, Senior Long, and Miss Leng, I've been waiting for you for a long time." The one who spoke was a short and chubby middle-aged man. He was also an elder in charge of foreign affairs in the Ning family. Among the elders of the Ning family, his status was very ordinary. However, because he was smooth enough, he was in charge of foreign affairs in the Ning family. "Yes." The master of the Ning family nodded slightly, then ordered, "Take us to the courtyard." "Yes." The foreign affairs elder quickly responded. Then, he led the way. Generally speaking, when all the great clans of the Divine Realm came to participate in the elite competition, they should stay in the inn arranged by the Divine Lord's estate. However, as the head of the 8 great Divine Realms, the Ning clan had its own courtyard in the imperial city. Thus, a super clan like them naturally did not need to squeeze into an overcrowded inn like the other clans. Those who possessed such a privilege were all influential forces in the Divine Realm. When they arrived at the Ning family's courtyard, the Ning family's foreign affairs elder first arranged rooms for Leng Ruoxue and the rest. Then, he respectfully waited in the living room for Leng Ruoxue's instructions. Actually, with his status, there was no need for him to bow and bend his knees. However, he was very clear about Leng Ruoxue's position in the family head's heart. Hence, he subconsciously lowered his attitude. After all, in his opinion, pleasing Leng Ruoxue was equivalent to pleasing the family head. No matter how he looked at it, he would not be at a disadvantage. Seeing him like this, Leng Ruoxue could only tell him clearly that she had nothing for him to do. When the foreign affairs elder saw this, he turned around and left in embarrassment. After the foreign affairs elder left, Leng Ruoxue heaved a sigh of relief. To be honest, she didn't like it when people tried to please her deliberately. Their motives were too strong. Seeing that Leng Ruoxue seemed to have heaved a sigh of relief, the demon couldn't help but chuckled and teased, "Ha ha ha. Shuai, if that foreign affairs elder knew that you didn't like this, I wonder if he would be disappointed." "He should be." Leng Ruoxue felt helpless. "Then let him be disappointed." The demon laughed evilly. "Little girl. The way you do things is really different from the rest. If it was someone else who was respected like this, I would be happy to do so, but you avoided him like a snake." At this time, Uncle Long, who had nothing to do, also started to tease him. There was a gentle smile on his serious face. Those who are unaccountably solicitous are either evil or thieving. Leng Ruoxue said with a little fear. She didn't want to be schemed against, even though that foreign affairs elder didn't have any evil intentions towards her. "Who's the thief or villain here?" Suddenly, a familiar voice rang in Leng Ruoxue and the rest's ears. Everyone raised their heads and saw the first elder of the Craftsmen's Guild headquarters walking in from outside. "Great Elder, you've come." The moment Leng Ruoxue saw First Elder, her beautiful face broke into a smile. "Little girl. I haven't seen you for so long, and you didn't miss me? You're really too heartless." The First Elder continued, not giving Leng Ruoxue a chance to speak. As he spoke, his face was filled with intense resentment. "Ah." Leng Ruoxue was completely speechless after hearing First Elder's words. It hadn't been that long since they last met, all right? Moreover, the Great Elder didn't give her a chance to speak and just accused her of not missing him. Woo! She felt so wronged. "Little girl, you have to compensate me well." The First Elder ignored the depressed look on Leng Ruoxue's face and continued. "How do you want me to compensate you, Great Elder?" Leng Ruoxue smiled helplessly as she asked. At this moment, even if she was slow, she could tell that the Great Elder was deliberately finding fault with her. She just didn't know what he wanted. "Make me a good meal. I haven't eaten in a long time, sigh. After eating the food you guys made, I can't even eat the food that others made." The great elder's words were very pitiful, and his face even showed a masochistic expression. When Leng Ruoxue heard this, she didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Just for a meal, she said that she had no conscience and didn't miss him. Even though she was helpless, Leng Ruoxue still ordered grape and lotus seed to get some food for the great elder so that he would not complain about her again. When the great elder had his fill of delicious food, his face bloomed with a smile. "You old glutton, I was wondering why you didn't want to wait for me. So you're here to monopolize the food." Just as the first elder was gobbling down his food, a familiar voice rang out in everyone's ears. Everyone raised their heads again and saw that it was the Chen clan's clan head. However, the head of the Chen clan didn't even exchange pleasantries with them. Instead, he pounced straight to the table and snatched the food from the first elder. Instantly, everyone could only see two figures flashing here and there, and the food on the table was quickly reduced at a speed that was imperceptible to the naked eye. After a while, the two of them split the food on the table. When the master of the Ning family arrived at the living room of Leng Ruoxue's residence, he only saw a table full of plates and bowls, as well as the alluring aroma of dishes that wafted through the air. There were also two old men who showed no respect to their elders, leaning back on their chairs and burping contentedly. Instantly, his heart burned with anger, and he immediately dragged the great elder and the master of the Qing family out of the living room. When they reappeared, the great elder and the master of the Qing family were also injured to varying degrees. The great elder and the master of the Qing family lowered their heads in embarrassment in front of the crowd, while the master of the Ning family had a trace of pride on his face. His previous gloominess had been swept away, and at this moment, he was in a very good mood. When they saw the first elder and the Qing family's master, Leng Ruoxue, and the rest understood that their godfather was taking revenge. After all, he had been beaten up by Uncle Long before. Uncle Long didn't seem to want to see the master of the Ning family so proud. He said with a half-smile, "Ning family's boy, you've grown up." "Ah. Brother Long, are you used to living here? Is there anything that the attendant did not serve you well?" Hearing Uncle Long's unkind words, the master of the Ning family immediately became a lackey and said with a fawning face, "Ning family's boy, are you confused? We've only just arrived here and haven't even started living here yet. How do I know if he'll get used to it?" Uncle Long said, trying hard not to laugh. "Brother Long, I think you should try staying here first. If you're not used to it or if there's anything you're not comfortable with, let me know immediately. I'll arrange another place for you." The master of the Ning family quickly explained. He couldn't afford to offend this old man. "Well, then I'll try to live here first," Uncle Long said indifferently. Hearing Uncle Long's words, the master of the Ning family was relieved for the time being. However, it was rare for the first elder and the master of the Qing family to see such a fawning side of him, so they all widened their eyes in disbelief as if they had seen an alien. "Are you old man Ning?" After a long while, first elder couldn't help but ask, his handsome face full of surprise.